Streaming. Cool. You're live.
Are you sure?
All right, so Steven, let's log on to these and make sure they're all entered or viewable. I will. Thank you very much. Oh, no. Well, we'll see what happens. Let me go, I have to make a photocopy.
About the visual aids.
Okay.
Should I email them somewhere, or is there a way that I can present them off of my own device?
We would be presenting them.
Okay.
Do you have a thumb drive or?
I'll have to look and see if I've got one back.
Okay, if not, you can email it to me and I can bring it up on. I'll be running the slides and everything.
It's Betty Reynolds case out of BTA economy.
Gotcha.
The second.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, if you have that with you, just let me know whether you want it on a flash drive or if you have to email it. Let me know.
I suspect it won't be email because I'm betting my thumb drive is sitting in my drawer where it
Gotcha.
belongs.
Okay.
But I'll look and see if I throw it on my back.
Sounds good.
And normal city email address is just Dane Kirk.
Yep, it's DE Kirk at Columbus.gov.
Yep, great, thank you.
Mhm.
Sorry. Okay. So how we even?
Are they all gonna be here?
Jamie said he hasn't heard otherwise.
1:30 or something.
We just over.
He kept saying 30 years ago. Still doesn't mean yes, does it?
Yeah.
So, well,
He says Eric confirms, and that's always the wild card, so.
and that's why
Eric's always the wild card, so.
he said yes. it would be-
Yeah.
Just to help.
I've heard yes a couple times, but I see it has not shown up, so.
This is a little my freedom, but just a little distracted, but I'm enjoying it.
A little bit.
Now you're here on the video.
I'm feeling on some days. Just probably tired. But, we've been doing construction. I get it right.
So I started with PXP 30 years, but because I'm really. So.
This approval recommendations to approval. So you can do that here. Change them. That would help.
Yes.
Oh, you only have 20 cases.
So. Do my part.
It's okay to be.
I have three. Approval.
The Jamie.
Approval. Probably Jamie. Yeah, all minor approval.
Looks like JV.
All right.
Yeah. Adam's always over. How many kids do we have tonight? 12 or 13. Horrible, all things considered.
Too much.
They're just falling in right now.
Yeah. So we got us for, doing a bunch of stuff. Oh, so how we.
Yeah, I did more research on the road. Yeah, I think so. See, this is just, this one's gonna be, it's just all.
Doesn't mean. Look at it, just lines out.
I said, oh, here now. Okay.
Good evening.
East side. Say some.
Probably in there.
Those are some.
Earlier.
Jimmy and I have them.
Because he didn't bring out his pack, his words, so maybe he's.
Getting them.
But I did see it with your envelope.
Sometimes they.
So I have done it. Okay. So see what everybody else. Okay. Very much. Let's say, you saw it.
It was, I don't know what Sherry's thinking, sending those out. It looked ridiculous.
So the same thing that happened with
Graphics, yeah.
Like,
Did you not check any of these? So if I have a thumb drive, do I do it on this one or the big one? To get it on the screen.
Big one.
That's why that quote, so. That was
Where do I run PowerPoint from this?
So
So are
we
we seeing that on here? How would I see that on here?
Yeah, if I join the meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
join.
Am
Am I logged in? Do I need to log out?
You're logged in, but it
Okay.
can still work. Which I just realized, we had somebody send, I'm not logged into this one, so they're gonna have to send it by email to you. Somebody was, sending in, material,
If they want to print it, it's too late.
not printed, but, for their presentation. I think we're good. Okay.
We are streaming, yeah. Recording now.
Fine. So, yeah, there won't need an email to us, be on the side. We're also kind of logged into the computer, I just realized. Jamie, what's the second letter in your email? It's J, what?
JF.
Yep. Freeze. I'll get it right over. Thank you. Yep.
Good, memorize. Initial.
This one, I kind of have, because
Most people's.
It can pop up.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's age.
We just started.
What?
Oh, he's not. That's right. Somebody said that.
That's true, but yeah.
That's why it's a. Yes.
See if you can bring up that thumb drive. Okay. Desktop.
Let's see, select out desktop. That would be,
Or this PC.
yeah, that would be one of these.
Yeah, probably OMC. Laura, OMC.
Both
Probably just 103. Well, we'll let her decide. But I feel like, you know what, log me out and you log in. Close all that. You can close that.
Oh, not end meeting.
That's why I end the meeting, because this is what's organizing it, so. You're logged in with me twice, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. Oh, let's do. Please let me log down. There we go.
Yeah.
No, the city attorney at the beginning of the meeting will say anyone who would like to be swear in. When the application is on, thumbs up. The, talk about the application and then, once they're done, the board will act.
I emailed it to Mr. Breeze.
He may have already passed it on to the board, I'm not sure, but it, set up, the.
Okay, if he has it, I saw him get that.
So we.
When, they call that,
Or are you the applicant?
No.
Okay, then after they speak, board will ask it.
I made myself the host so I can.
Okay, good.
I was realizing I
That
too much from this.
Oh, I see.
Okay, we're still streaming, that's good.
Did you send out a letter that was,
From who?
it is,
Yeah, I got a ton of them. If you sent it before 4 o'clock, it's in this packet.
and our points go well.
Yes. So, am I allowed?
I'm logged in here, you're
As
logged
me?
there.
Fuck.
I'm logged in. Oh, who do you?
I need to get that power. I'll go down.
You can-
Yeah, I was gonna say, just, oh, okay, yeah, email it to me.
We are trying to do better about that.
I think starting next month, like, see, new, state
Application.
for various things that go through the standards.
We're asking him to address every single one, but, not for this one, I guess. It'll be whenever the statement of hardships change. But it wouldn't hurt to ask him, at least have him say something.
Either.
This is next one week. I always saw. But
Next month, someone's gonna be out.
Yeah, that's good.
It was important. Some of them, they didn't, and everything wasn't a full picture, it was a.
We didn't mean to do that, so I don't know why. It happened.
So you maybe.
Uh-huh. That was, yeah, I don't know how it happened. Paying attention, yeah. So whenever you're ready. But bring up the meeting code. I think we can access it now. And then definitions. We'll look up apartment residential.
Gotcha. Parking history is the one that you just.
Yeah.
gave? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. I have that too.
Okay. I mean, I just emailed you that. And he emailed
Yeah.
emailed you too. Okay, good.
Yeah, because originally I thought I was signed in, but you were signed in, so I had to do it both, so.
We're good. Good, good, good.
So you wanted me to look up,
Meeting code. Cream. And you're gonna have to help me down here when we go to record.
I forgot we need the actual, like, URL, we can't Google it. Do you know what the URL for Jumpy Smooth
Just
is?
www.
Like slash Columbus?
No,
I use that every year.
yeah. No,
Yeah, I think we just exact.
well, you should.
I'll get it on my phone and then look it up. That might work.
But I think you should just bring up a page that gets you into the state.
Yeah, I went on maybe today. No problem. There you go.
Oh, you made it.
Yeah.
Good man. All right.
Good. This. Awesome. Thanks.
I got to it somehow.
Right. It does. So like,
It gave me the error too. I was like, or I tried Googling it. I think, like,
But to say it helps for my computer when I have everything like already linked, but if I'm in the front room, I still don't have those links. So I'm like, well, it's not particularly helpful until.
All right. So how do we get rid of pictures that don't have? That's what counts. Well, pretty much. Well, might be just Eric. He's not here yet. Where's that? Quick layout. Oh, layout. That's right.
They changed this layout recently because I was looking for
Right.
that. I could not find it.
Okay. And now, how do you record? Here? What?
Build a
Just that?
disk. Yep. And then close up.
Definitions, 33. I just don't have it ready because they asked.
Sounds good. Oh, 15. I thought right over it.
5.
Oh, 05.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, you're right. 03, duh.
And
And go to
what's the term?
apartment.
There we go. Apartment.
Yeah, just and then minimize. We're ready. We're recording.
Okay. August 27, 2024. Board is on the adjustment. If you haven't been here before, we did 2 types of cases. Not only hearing requests for variances and special permits. How the agenda goes is printed and.
Sorry?
The agendas do that?
There's an agenda posted on the wall on the back.
That's the order. all the cases. Once your case has been heard, and we agree to leave, we will allow, we will start with the city for getting the summary of the case, and we'll allow the applicant to have 5 minutes. The adding to the word of the city to state. We will then ask questions, get clarification, and then we will ask for anybody here in the audience that wants to speak in support or opposition to that request, that each person will be given 3 minutes to talk. We are free to use the time, but we do ask that when we give the signal, to if you are planning on speaking tonight, there's a sign-in, there's 2 sign-ins right here. The front, we want you to write your name legibly so that our reporter can document that accurately. And I want you to state that you were sworn in. So to speed up the time, I will not swear in everyone individually. I'll swear in everyone as a group. Ready to speak tonight, let's stand up. Raise your hand. You promise to be testimony you give tonight with the truth and only with the truth. Please state I do.
I do.
Preliminary on the table, this happened?
Yeah, you want them to have-
There are no preliminary matters tonight.
Now we're into our first case, which is 1439 Oak Street.
Let's do this.
Hello,
No, can you state your name?
Harry Zellers.
Sorry.
Harry Zellers.
You were sworn in?
Yes.
All right. 1439 Oak Street is located on the south side of Oak Street, approximately 265 feet west of North Avenue. The site is zoned R3 residential and is located within Near East Area Commission. This site may seem familiar as the applicant was approved for variances to lot width, lot area, and driveway width in June of 2023 for the development of 3 single-unit dwellings. During permitting, it was discovered that the garages could not accommodate code-compliant 9x18 parking spaces. Therefore, the applicant is requesting an additional variance, next slide, to reduce the size of parking space from 9x18 to 8 feet by 17. As you know, parking space shall be a rectangular area of not less than 9 feet by 18 feet, exclusive of any driveway or circulation area. City staff can recommend approval as a reduction in parking space size with interior parking of private vehicles only. And the applicant does have the further approval from the Near East Area Commission. Madam Chair.
What does it mean by when we say interior vehicles only?
It's not for a commercial or anyone other than anyone other than the people living in that dwelling. Like a rented apartment. Yeah.
Okay, okay, anything else you want to add?
Jamie said it all.
I have a question. I know that there's smaller spaces in public park. Are those the 8 feet that we're seeing?
Oftentimes, yes, has been a typical variance request lately.
And this building, this house, each unit requires 2 spaces.
Yes.
My only concern is if we're saying park in the garage, and it is that small, people have to open that, but every day I'm out, I mean, what we really said in the community are for.
Multimodal. Riding bikes, taking a bus, walking.
And I guess, how big are these?
1250, 1250 square feet. 3-bedroom. Well, it's really 2-bedroom and an inn, but we can count it as a bedroom because it met the qualifications. What it is the city commanded that we do density. And with the density, we had to squeeze them in. It was only 2 lots to begin with. They gave us combined them and they split it out to 3. They wanted 4, we could not get it. We could get the 3. They said they just wanted a parking pad, which would have met code. But to put the walls, the curb for the parking pad, to put the building on top, you lose 3 feet each side. So we lost 6 inches. And everything is totally fire rated. Yeah. Yes, it does.
Yeah, that's my mindset is when people see that problem, they go to it.
Yeah.
No.
Polk and Miller.
Yeah.
We're
So,
up the street from the trolley barn. We're up the street from the trolley barn.
so is that?
Yes.
Does anybody like to hear me speak about this application? No one?
They already approved it at NEAC. We went through it for over a year. Yeah. First we changed it, the color and the shape. They didn't like that. Then we changed it. Yeah, but I promised them the 2 spots and we did. Yeah.
I'm ready to call the question.
Ms. Engelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah.
Mr. Moore?
Yeah.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Thank you. Have a great day.
I'm gonna have you right over here, Ms. Betty.
Great. Okay, 1064 East Deschler Avenue is located on the north side of East Deschler Avenue, approximately 160 feet west of Linwood Avenue. The site is zoned in the R4 residential district and is located within the Columbus Southside Area Commission. The site is developed with a single unit dwelling in a residential neighborhood. Surrounding uses are a mix of single and 2 unit dwellings. The applicant proposes to legitimize a parking area in a required front yard and requests a variance to reduce the parking setback line from 25 feet to 0 feet. On the citywide planning policy, states that parking lots should be screened from view from public right-of-way and adjacent development. Staff notes that the best practice would recommend the parking space be located to the rear of the home and accessed from the adjacent alley. However, due to the adjacent landscaping working to screen the parking in the front yard, and extenuating circumstances of request, planning does not oppose. The Division of Traffic Management states that direct access to East Deschler Avenue will not be permitted. Access to East Deschler Avenue will need to be taken from the alley that comprises the western frontage of the site. To ensure sufficient maneuvering is provided, the proposed parking space will need to be set back a minimum of 5 feet from the alley that comprises the western frontage of the site. The Columbus Southside Area Commission recommends approval. City staff is recommending disapproval. City staff consistently recommends disapproval. Variance request will allow parking in the required front or side yards. We have no conditions, Madam Chair.
Can you say your name, so whether or not you were sworn in?
Yes, absolutely. My name is Paul Bryson. I have been sworn in. I'm the attorney representing Betty Reynolds, who's listed on the deed as Betty Johnson, who is sitting to my left and has also been sworn in the event of questions.
Can you say your name when you were sworn in?
Betty Reynolds,
When you were sworn in?
yes.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Just a couple things. Ms. Betty's 77 years old. She was South End born. She's told me lots of stories about before the Reeb Center was the Reeb Center and all the things there. She was divorced just before COVID and wanted to return home to the South Side. She bought this place sight unseen while she was living in Biloxi, Mississippi. It was advertised as having 2 off-street spots. I sent a visual aid of the parking history, which you can see here back in 2009. People were certainly parking as if there were 2 off-street spots, and have for quite some time. If you scroll down, you'll see some more recent pictures here, but there are not 2 off-street spots. There is just a front yard, and can't park on the unimproved surface. Anyway, so Ms. Betty, here in the file, you'll see a note from her doctor about her medical need to walk shorter distances. That's actually gotten worse as her arthritis has increased while we've had this pending. She did try to get a disability accessible spot on the street. Someone came, took a measurement because of a fence that used to be in the area. The measurement looked like her lot was too small to have a disability accessible spot in front of her unit, so one was located across the street. Unfortunately, the gentleman who lives across the street also needed a handicap placard for his car and is parked much more often than Ms. Betty is, so it ends up not actually relieving that problem. In her neighborhood, her dogs, they're not her dog. The other dogs in the neighborhood, there's somebody who breeds pit bulls and lets them run all over the neighborhood. They chase her into her house from wherever she's parked. So being able to park close enough. She didn't walk over with her cane today, but normally has to have the assistance of a cane. She's had more than one time she's been chased into her home. The two issues here, with parking in the front and access through Deschler. There is no room in the back or on the side. This, if you go back to the whole site, this unit, this parcel, and the parcel behind it are the products of a lot split. They used to be together, where there was a house and a big old area behind. That big old area was split off to be some other development, and Miss Betty was left with a house on a plot too small to fit a parking spot in the back. We had the surveyor check it out. He just could not fit one back there. There's a little tiny patio and a big old tree that splits between her lot and the lot behind her. So she just can't be anywhere in the front if she's going to be closer to her house. And as far as egress onto Deschler, first on the west side of the property, that alley, there is a tree that was thankfully, I think, recently trimmed back by the city to make that a little less of a problem. But there's also a big utility box of some kind that if you're backing out of right there on the corner, or if you're backing out of that spot there, you're really in danger of hitting it. There's lots of ruts along the side of her yard there where people end up over there all the time. I went in the 6th block area along Deschler between Lockbourne and Champion. There are 10 properties that exit right onto Deschler with no problem. The difference is none of those properties have an address on Deschler. So people driving down that street are all the time encountering people driving right out onto Deschler, having that egress. There's one right across the street from Miss Betty. There's one 2 houses over. Pretty much on every intersection with Deschler, the houses on each side, their garage, parking pad, egresses right on Deschler. It just happens to be coming from their side yard instead of their front. So while that is something that is against the city's policy, it does not pose any safety risks or traffic risks to anybody traveling down there. So in light of it just being unfeasible for Miss Betty to locate this somewhere else or turn the spot to 90 degrees, for her medical needs and for her safety, we would ask that the variance be approved.
That shows with that utility box.
Well, we can certainly try. That might be it.
Right there. When we were out there on the site visit with the Southside Area Commission, they do a site visit. All the commissioners who were there on that zoning committee looked over there and said, "Oh well, you can't back out that way. You'll hit that box," which is, my opinion too.
Alley access.
Yeah.
That's still parking in front of the house. It's the same thing.
Yeah, there were 2 objections: in front of the house and egress on the Deschler. So, in response to why you've got to egress, that's part of why you've got the egress on the Deschler. And the room is why you've got to be able to park in the house.
And what happens with the second handicap spot?
There was only ever one. It is,
Apply for a second.
so there isn't any room.
Nothing just beyond that other driveway.
Did you ever apply for a second one? I remember that you went through the process about getting one. And the only one that she was informed would be located on the street ended up being that spot right across.
I mean, I'm looking at everything to be driveways that would allow one space and then one.
So is it only street parking or one on the street?
It might be that there's only on-street parking on that. I have never seen anybody park on the north side of Deschler. I don't remember if there are signs there that there is not allowed.
Yeah, it's like, another car right there.
Ms. Benny does say that there are signs that there's no parking. If you'd repeat that.
Oh, there is signs. It was put up about maybe a year and a half ago, no parking. So anyone that parks there, or even, in front of my house could get a ticket.
get that.
Okay, across the street, someone was given a ticket because you have to be 20 feet, two cars was parking there. 20 feet to each alley entrance way, and it's not,
Two drivers. I don't know why we have to view this one.
there's not two driveway, it's the alley.
If we could go to which part you're talking about here, I want to make sure that I'm addressing do you mean just across? So there was,
This is presumably not handicap spot.
yes,
So here's.
that is admittedly much further away, which goes back to the reason that Miss Betty has that medical note on file that she needs a lesser distance to be traveling to and from her car.
And that's where the pit bulls live at. There's 4 of them, and I've called the city, they've come to the yard, and they just walks around. And so then they just cuss me out and all that, saying I bought a house in the wrong area.
The city.
No, the owner of the pit bulls.
Owners, and it's further away, there's just some arguments all the time, and I just want to go home and get in the house and.
Sure, I understand to really stand into the equation. What you're asking to do is change the conditions that you're in two. So that you decide who it's gonna still apply. And then when you say yes to you, say no to somebody else. It's not. So I think there are other options. Realize like maybe less convenient. It looks like this part they take it way most where that white band that you can buy in spot. So I feel like there are better alternatives in these four. This is pretty bad in my mind, but it's my time to see where they say.
Everybody here was office application.
No, I just share my concerns, concerns for, I don't, the rental property. Just with having residents out there, come back and you can't access the spot, and like, having options.
Even if they're further away, I'm 77 years old, and being in them with groceries and things, I have a home health care that comes to the house. And where they're to park, and if someone,
In the last week, Miss Betty was also approved for the city program to allow for where you don't have to take your trash all the way to the curb because of her disabilities, so.
how did I end up here was that, there used to be a drug house at 1068, and so there was never a parking space, and so I've always been parking in the yard because it was saying that I had 2 parking spaces there. And then at the time, I had a survey done, and when I had the survey done, the fence went it went like this, and then it went in. And so then I found out that I did have enough space after I had the survey done last year, because that cost me $1,300, that I do have enough space to put the handicap sign in my front yard. And Scott had came out and measured it, but that was before I took the fence down.
And before there was no parking allowed on this side of the street. It's been a fairly long road as we've been on this journey to figure out what options to try to pursue.
So
there may be, that maybe on the east side, but it was east side, on south side. So there. I don't know if that was.
when you have a situation like that, with sidewalks on one side, what's that would have, if the type of plan for that, on a lot of downtown areas, and even suburban areas like this, having that sense. Part,
Right, I mean, but the product attendance looks like right on one side. Looks like basically this bit on the other side, I'm not aware of it. You make those, but typically there's minimum widths on, like it's last, even.
Yeah, when you look at older photos, I'm not sure if they're older, but if you're looking up and down Deshler on Blue Road, see parking.
and parking in the yard. I mean, there's place there. I think that in, you're seeking the here, is it it goes. I think that city's saying anything, work better solution. More permanent. These situations, permanent solution, buy.
I will point out there are very few homeowners who actually have addresses along Deshler. There's Miss Betty and her neighbor. And I want to say between Lockbourne and Champion, there might be one other. So it is a very narrow issue in terms of who is there, which makes the city planning.
They call the book. Some cases. It's a lesson for me as we continue to look at classes. A lot of we need to find about consequences. We have to be able to look at a project as that's not.
And I would like to also mention that I know there's been a little bit of talk about parking in the yard. Someone parking in the yard is begging to get a code enforcement ticket. Parking on an unimproved surface is a code violation. It is a reason to call 311. This is a neighborhood that is quickly changing and has people routinely calling 311 because of violations. So parking on the grass in front of her house is just asking Miss Betty to get herself cited with a ticket there. It's just not a viable option for a person here. If she was in a neighborhood where no one paid any attention, like this was, probably when the lot split was done, it'd be a different story.
And not only that, the alley, because we have no drainage or sewage, the alley is muddy and water has been running into the house. And I've been having to pay to get that done. And then when I had the survey done, the city have some, where the alley is, have encroached up on the house, you know.
Well, so over time, as the alley there has been resurfaced, there has been spillover where the alley has expanded some. Ms. Betty's addressing that with city planning.
And I was told that that alley would be surveyed when, I'm trying to think, Merle Fox had came out to the house and I had, had it surveyed. And he was saying something about the bricks being on the side of the house. But the purpose of the bricks is because like in the back, well, Wilson, it's the back of Wilson right there, where there's supposed to be 2 cars, but it's always 4 cars, and they only have 1 pad. And
We're
so-
losing the narrative a little,
Okay.
but thank you.
I mean, my advice. Susie was not to say it, can't say this.
You're recommending the applicants ask for statement?
I would recommend. You will get it. On that.
Do you know the applicant? You got it?
I'm aware of them. Do you mind if I confer with Miss Betty a moment? Thank you. We would like to request that this be tabled so that we can try those other solutions. And if they don't work, if they continue to not work, be able to come back before the BCA.
We'll see to speak about the case. So the loop. Just call the roll.
Mr. Jones? Mr. Malaka?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Chair Powell Bailey?
Take away. Good luck.
Thank you. When we would like this to be, if we would like this to be returned to the docket, I know we've been talking with Mr. Freeze, would that be the way to go about that? Okay, thank you. Normally I don't come for an upper day.
Yeah. Uh, 676 Wilson Avenue, in the east side of Wilson Avenue, approximately 210 feet north of Union Street. It is a already residential and a part of the Livingston Avenue Area Commission. The site is developed with a single unit dwelling. Surrounding uses are primarily single unit and residential dwelling. The applicant proposes to construct a detached garage. Variances are being requested to reduce the minimum side yard from 3 feet to 1 foot 6 inches on the south side, and from 3 feet to 1 foot 6 inches on the north side, and to allow the total area of the garage to exceed 700 square feet. So a total of 840 square feet. Planning is in full support of the requested variance as it is the CC2 design guidelines. Staff is going to refer to the Historic Resources Commission on all other matters. The Division of Traffic Management has no comment, and the Livingston Avenue Area Commission recommends approval of the request with a vote of 6-0. Staff is recommending approval as an increase in garage square footage has been found to be compatible with the principal structure. The building elevations are consistent with plan design guidelines. And we're asking the division that the garage elevations will be stamped to ensure compatibility with C2 design guidelines. Madam Chair.
Can you state your name, whether or not you're sworn in?
My name is Manny Moraro. Yes, I was sworn in.
Is that?
Yes, it is.
Barely hear you.
You
Sir?
can turn it.
Like, right.
You can turn it. Yeah.
Kieran Smith, I don't believe I've been sworn in. I think I arrived a little late. So I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. It was suggested by you guys that they do 1 foot 6 inches on both sides.
Yeah, so I'm actually architect for the project. I missed the first meeting here. Basically, the reasons for the easements, or sorry, not the easements, the adjustments at this time are just mainly due to the owner of the home. He's got a car that he works on quite frequently, so he wants the ability to fit a just a like a not a commercial grade, but just like a residential grade lift in the garage, so that the space requirements for that to fit 2 cars in there requires a little bit more of the width that we're showing, and also just the lot width as is does not permit that. So that's why we're just pushing out a little bit, and that same reason applies to why we're over the existing limit of square footage. Other than that, I don't know if you want to add anything else, but
I don't think there's one.
yeah. It's pretty straightforward, I guess just to wrap up, I know that we did go to the Historical Resource Commission, and they didn't approve it, but they were supportive of the design as it is, with the adjustment of the setbacks that we mentioned. All the materials and everything is shown, windows, doors are all abiding by the recommendations. So we expect that to be approved once we go back, but pretty straightforward as is.
So this is lifted, right? You're structure.
Yes.
What was the cost of normal garage. It's just
It's about 10,000.
for the height.
Yeah.
Is there any here that was speak about that application? Or some questions? Are ready to call?
Question?
So there's all. Something call.
Ms. Malcolm? Mr. Rowley?
Yeah.
Ms. Aketoff? Mr. Jones? Chair Powell Bailey?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
1299 Skip Park Avenue.
Thank you, Skip.
Madonna.
I believe the next one is,
He's already up here.
yeah.
Yeah, it's,
It's go out of order. That's fine.
You're fine. Number, yeah.
I think I'm 5.
Yeah, it's number 5. So we just skipped one. We'll circle back to the next one. Yeah.
1299 City Park.
It's located on the west side of City Park Avenue, approximately 175 feet north of East Moeller Street. As part of the Columbus South Side Area Commission, existing zoning is R2F Residential District. The 0.12 acre site is currently developed with a garage. Surrounding uses include a mix of single unit and multi-unit dwellings to the north, south, east, and retail to the west. Applicant proposes to construct a 2-unit dwelling. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum lot area from 6,000 square feet to 5,004 square feet. Reduce the width of the lot from 50 feet to 43 feet. Reduce the building setback from 25 feet to 10 feet. Reduce the side yard setback from 5.33 feet to 5 feet. And increase the lot coverage from 50% to 63%. Planning supports the applicant's variance request for lot area lot with building line, side yard, and viewing area. The proposed 2-unit dwelling is consistent with Columbus statewide policies, recommendations for similar character of nearby homes, garages located and access from the rear, and recommended front porch. Staff encourages the applicant to preserve the existing mature tree on the frontage along City Park Avenue. However, staff note the inclusion of 2 rear yard trees on the site plan as a mitigating factor and thus do not condition support on this revision. Division of Traffic Management requests a conditions board order that the existing driveway with access to City Park Avenue be removed. If the determination document is not recorded by the town hearing, traffic management also requests a condition corresponding to the termination of an existing easement to the south of the property. With these conditions, traffic management supports this application moving forward. While the Southside Area Commission has recommended approval of the requested variances voted unanimously. Likewise, the department's recommendation is that approval. Staff can recommend approval as the development would increase housing density to better match that of the surrounding area. And at traffic's request, we do recommend the following conditions. 1, that the existing driveway with access to City Park Avenue shall be removed. And 2, that the existing access easement to the south side of the property shall be terminated. And as I understand it, I believe that second one has been recorded that the easement will be removed. Check.
Okay, can you say your name when are you sworn in?
Don Tecco, I'm sworn in.
Chief Line. Oops.
No, here to answer any questions.
Board members, any other questions?
Yeah, so for set. For the setback, is that staying to the 10 feet? Like
The setback could be because of a third story as the buildings get taller, the setback required increases.
You mean from the standard? Right. I'm saying, I'm looking down the street.
Oh, you mean matching the context of the other numbers. Gotcha. Let's see.
It doesn't look like, but look at the wrong space.
Yeah.
It's the average of the.
It would be, from the, City Park Avenue, we would take the average of the, two flanking properties. So it'd be, 1295 and then 1305, which, the next one that would be developed would be these block of row houses as well. But since the, setback for 1305 is so far, as you can see in the aerial here, that is what is affecting it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Is there anybody here who wants to speak about this application? Or those who have any questions?
I'll call the question.
Actually, Ms. Wall, please call the roll.
Mr. Wembley?
We qualified.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I asked about the driveway access to City Park Avenue. You're comfortable with that being removed?
Yes.
And the east from the south side to be terminated?
Yeah, that's been terminated and recorded.
Okay.
Mr. Wembley?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff? Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Malaka? Chair Paul Bailey?
Thank you.
Thirty-one, 34 Medina Avenue. 31, 35 Medina Avenue is located on the south side of Medina Avenue. It's approximately 213 feet north of East property. It is on residential party, the North Linden Area Commission. The site is developed single unit. Surrounding uses are primarily single unit residential dwelling. The applicant raised an existing front porch and constructed a front deck. Variance is being requested 2/3 of the building setback from 25 feet to 16 feet. Planning supports the proposal. C2B2 state the design and character of new development, including homes, additions, and garages, appropriate is based on the principle in nearby structures in terms of height, width, setback, roof pitch, and other. The proposal is consistent with C2B2 design guidelines, does not substantially alter character of the neighborhood, and therefore is supported by planning. The Division of Traffic Management had no comments, and the North Linden Area Commission recommended approval of this request with a vote of 8-0. Staff can recommend approval as the need for a variance is triggered by the fact that the structure is uncovered and is considered a deck rather than a porch. Covered porches are allowed by code to encroach into the building setback. Additionally, staff says that the proposed deck contrary to the purpose of the zoning code, which is to provide adequate light and air space. Madam Chair.
Okay, can you state your name, what it is?
Joe Herman and some more.
Okay. You can get that access application,
No, happy to answer any questions.
or if you have any questions. This is already built.
Yep.
Yeah. Anybody here that wants to speak about this application, the audience? What were the other questions?
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah.
Mr. Malaka? Mr. Rowley? Chair Paul Bailey?
Thank you.
103 East Patterson Avenue.
Ready? Okay, 103 East Patterson Avenue is located on the south side of East Patterson Avenue, approximately 160 feet west of Adams Avenue. The site is zoned R2F residential. It's located within the University Area Commission. The site is developed as a single unit dwelling within the University District zoning overlay. Surrounding uses include single and multi-unit residential dwellings. The applicant proposes to raise the single unit dwelling and construct a 2-unit dwelling. The requested variance is to increase the maximum lot coverage from 25% to 40%. Increase the height of the dwelling from 35 feet to 36 feet 6 inches. to decrease the maximum side yards from 8 feet to 6 feet. I think that's an error. It's been updated to 5 feet to 3 feet. No, the maximum is 8 feet to 6 feet. The minimum is then 5 feet to 3 feet. The request to not provide parking lot screening has been removed. University District Plan states that new construction and additions be compatible with nearby housing. The plan also recommends a minimum of 20% of the total lot and landscape behind the principal structure. Planning staff could be supportive of the no side yard and screening variances with the condition that parking reduced, proposed 10 spaces, replaced with an additional rear yard space and landscaping in order to remain consistent with the general neighborhood's development pattern. Planning has reviewed the elevations and updated site plan, removed the parking and adds landscaping, and is now in complete support of this proposal. The Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the University Area Commission recommends disapproval. City staff as a whole can recommend approval as a proposal is consistent with the development pattern of the neighborhood, and we're requesting the following condition. The site plan and elevations will be stamped to ensure compatibility with the University District Plan. Madam Chair.
Can you say your name and what got you sworn in?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. My name is Laura Comack. I'm the attorney and I have been sworn. I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves.
Bradley Blumenscheid, I've been sworn in.
Brian Fraley, I have been sworn in.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, we appreciate your time this evening. We're here on an application that has dramatically changed since it was initially proposed. Can you put up my PowerPoint? Thank you. Just for purposes of the record,
she's the thumb drive.
I would like to have my application and materials noted as Exhibit A, the PowerPoint as Exhibit B. I have two other exhibits, a C, and that we got a letter of support, so I have a D. This, oh, do you have it?
Your supplemental exhibit, so let's just call that.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, for the record, I did want to mention that I received a number of emails, mainly in disapproval, but one in support of this project that have been given to the board as supplemental exhibits.
Thank you. The owner purchased the property. It's in a state of significant disrepair. We'll talk to that in a minute. It originally came forward as a council variance, like a lot of applications for infill development are when they exceed the density and need a different category. This was originally a council variance for 3 units, 5 bedrooms each, meaning 15. After, let me very quick. Thank you. Just in terms of activity of what is, what's gone on. Originally filed as council variance. There were a number of meetings with the University Area Commission zoning meeting and 3 subsequent meetings with the neighbors. That conversation resulted in a reduction. That's why we're here at the BZA, because the 2-family is permitted. The additional things that occurred, when you reduce the size, some of the variances come down. Then you can accommodate other site development standards. So that was a significant reduction. Following that reduction, there were additional meetings at UAC and an additional meeting with the neighbors. And those meetings were divided up between the property owner, the architect, and myself as the attorney. So 5 meetings in total. At the end of the day, we got a request to reduce parking. There's no particular number. Right now, 2 units, 5 bedrooms each. We had proposed 10 parking spaces, 1 for each bedroom, because it could be accommodated off the alley to the rear. The neighbors suggested that that was too much parking. And so there was a continuum in that discussion. We had a good conversation on a number of occasions with the neighbors, from no parking to not 10. And what was that number? We, the property owner agreed, and just for the record, you agreed to reduce it to, you and the owner, Brian is the property manager, agreed to reduce that from 10 to 8 because we could eliminate the variance for the landscaping, even though we're actually, yes, please.
You're not asking for variance or variance, so you should just based on the variance you are asking for?
Yes, that's actually the next slide. For the first part of the large part of our interaction with the area commission, it was all about parking. Yes, please. Okay, so real quick, Bradley, for the record, I just want you to tell the board, you were the one who put together the site plan and then the actual design of the house for architectural and, aesthetic compatibility. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, great. Can you tell us what you think about the East Patterson corridor, East Patterson Avenue corridor?
It's a mix of single family and duplex buildings, 2-story, 2.5-story in nature. Most of the houses along East Patterson don't conform to the zoning code as is, but there is definitely a clear pattern along there that our design tried to mimic.
Okay.
A clear pattern along the street that our design tried to mimic.
Okay. Just as to get off the slide and to get to pictures. Yes, please.
Sorry, was this?
Bradley Bridge. Not a problem.
Bradley.
So you're saying a copy of something that was not code. No, we weren't copying what's not code compliant. So the zoning code actually states that we have to, the facial line has to be within 10% of adjacent properties. In so doing, because those adjacent properties were built prior to the zoning code, to meet that section of the zoning code, we end up being a little bit over our height. We're trying to match the character of the street with this duplexes and singles, 2-story, 2.5 stories.
Bradley, there's an exhibit page in the PowerPoint that shows the 3 homes trying to, a streetscape of the units as compared to the 2 on either side. You prepared this, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about the current building and the house to the west of it, which is on the right of the screen. The lot to the west of the house actually is up 0 on the property line, is that correct?
I believe so.
And then the western property line, which for everyone who's observing this exhibit is on the right-hand side. It's about 1.5 foot setback. The house that we're here on, 103, is actually about 1.5 foot off that property line, correct?
Yes.
So with between the non-conforming house next door and this one, there's only about a 1.5 foot, maybe 2 feet of separation total.
It's very tight.
Okay, so what you're proposing is to make it 3, so to improve that condition by 1.5 foot to make it a solid 3.
Correct.
And then on the other side is already existing 3 feet?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware of any of them, just from looking at the neighborhood and creating the streetscape? Do any of the homes actually have the 5 feet that's required by code that you're aware of?
There might be a couple of the smaller ones. There's a couple of bungalows along the street that might, but for the most part, no.
Okay. Do you think that 5 feet is more of like a suburban setback in terms of varies depending on the house size though?
Yes.
Okay, and so what you were just explaining is one of the variances, will you do me a favor and go back to the list? Thank you. So the lot coverage is one, the floor area ratio, height, we were on height just now. So you explained that the 1.5 foot is necessary to meet the 10% adjacent building cornice average by code.
Yes, that's correct. And to maintain a similar roof slope to adjacent properties as well, which is in the guidelines.
Okay, so slope for compatibility.
To match the adjacent roof slope of other properties, so it matches the character of the neighborhood.
Okay. Okay. Floor area ratio, you did the calculations, we're at 0.63 and the code is 0.4, correct?
Correct.
Okay, Brian, to what do you attribute the increase, the request for an increase on the floor area ratio? Can you tell the board?
This is just as far as the size of the product we're putting out.
Yep, and the bathrooms?
Yeah, so right now, like what we're finding in the market is in that area, there's so many new builds we're competing against, that everyone wants their own bathroom. And it's just in high, so the more bathrooms we have, the quicker, easier, and the more expensive things rent for. So we kind of go for a higher clientele campus student, and so we're just trying to create what they want.
Okay. Next, lot coverage. That's a 40% on the lot coverage. Even with the 40% though, there's still a backyard, right? That's going to be landscaped and an additional tree, correct?
Correct.
And then based on the reduction in the parking, we were able to provide the code landscaping buffering for the parking, correct?
Correct.
Even though we're really only buffering ourselves from a garage on the left, right?
Yes.
Okay. Minimum side yard, minimum max yard. We were just covering that right now. we're actually proposing to improve the condition on the west line?
Yes.
Okay, one other thing. You had mentioned that we are, and the site plan shows a 2-foot sidewalk on each side. Can you talk about that sidewalk and how you see that in the neighborhood?
So most of the buildings in the neighborhood have parking in the rear alley. You access the units from the fronts. Ours is no different. So that 2-foot sidewalk is to allow egress between the adjacent buildings on our property. Yes.
Okay, oops, excuse me. Let's click through a couple photos here. So this is your exhibit. Okay, so this is a photo of, Brian, this is a photo of the structure. Could you tell the board briefly just the kinds of repairs that are necessary? First of all, is there anybody living there?
No, there's no one living there. So when we bought it had an existing management in place, which we left in place. We just kind of stayed out of their business. And then the minute their lease expired this July, we weren't putting anyone back in. We just don't think it's at a level that we're comfortable with people living there. Totally submitted this as an exhibit, and I apologize. I never thought of it until she asked me today, like, what makes you think this? We had an inspection done by a licensed inspector. And almost everything with the ticket is replaced, repair, altitude, windows, roof. Over time, some of these old campus houses have handymen that show up and do things, and they mix piping metal. They don't know how to splice altitude. Things just haven't done. So to even repair the house and make it just won't be feasible for us. There'd be no profit in it. Correct. Yeah, that would be our goal. I mean, anybody could. Obviously, but yeah, the target design would be for there would be one lease per side. If you look at each address, we do one lease jointly and separately.
How do you manage doing that?
They just campus lease jointly and separately, which is common in that area. That's what everyone does. Well, everybody, that's what most people do that I know. So everyone's on a lease down together.
What is what on the record? The property inspection? No, it isn't.
Yeah, I apologize. I just thought of when we were sitting back there. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have it on my phone.
We can, I was gonna say, we can submit that for the record, and I can have him give the 2 or 3 high points of the summary from that if you'd like, but we can also submit that electronically. Yes, sir.
It was 4%. So obviously, 2 or more people, well, not yet. It's been
5.
Jamie, isn't the rule 6 or more is a rooming house, 5 is not a rooming house?
We're talking about an apartment complex or a room house? Or apartment house?
A rooming house by definition is what?
Well, that's when you have shared living facilities, bathrooms, kitchen facilities.
For 6 or more. For 6 or more.
That would be 6 or more.
This is 5.
An apartment house or apartment building consists of 5 or more individual rooms with not shared facilities.
Say that again?
An apartment house consists of 5 or more, so 6 individual rooms that are leased with not shared living facilities.
Not shared living space.
Facilities.
Is it 5 or more, or is it more than 5?
Well, we gotta get a definition. So I figured somebody would ask. Or apartment house, go down here.
5 or more. So this we're saying is an apartment house.
No, we're saying it's not an apartment house because they're not individually leased. There's a definition right there.
I know you like rent individual people. I know you do not collect rent.
Where did we see individual lease?
Hold on.
Well, 5 or more individuals independently of each other.
This is living in.
Right. But I assume there's only one kitchen? Yeah.
That means, yes, I due to me, so I don't see the individual lease part in this code section.
It's a 2-family.
I'm actually questioning what this
is relevant to the variances. Maybe I missed that for the record, but.
I'm trying to get clear to around, it is considered a rooming house. And if it is, that is it a permissible use? And if not, it's that, yeah, the variance that you need to apply for.
It would be a use variance. It's not allowed. Room house.
Would that would be a room house?
It's not wrong.
It's just, is that your understanding?
No,
Because, yeah.
right. So they went through final site compliance and it's not defined as a rooming house because they have it at 6 or more persons.
That's not what that says.
Yeah, I understand that.
They have-
Right. 2-family dwelling with just separate bedrooms, 5 separate bedrooms, which is actually consistent with the East Patterson Avenue corridor. They're all zoned R2F and they're all very similarly categorized.
No, that's.
Yes,
That-
yes, that's from our staff report. All of them from our staff, you know, site compliance.
How, so.
So, and just to be clear, so just while we're still on the subject, a rooming house would only be allowed in the AR4 or ARO. It requires a rooming house license. Sleeping rooms are rented separately.
So we're
And
not
that's
renting
how
a
we
room.
come to that definition, that if it's one lease for 5 people versus individual leases. Right.
So that's why I try to keep it that for their house. Paying separate, leagues, and they just have.
That's correct.
And to clarify, they don't pay separately, we accept one payment. ACH.
Right, Eric, what's your question?
No, I was saying, I'm just gonna give counselors the opportunity.
Moving quick, there's moving quick.
Yeah, a sleeping room rented separately. That says to me 5 individual leases. They're saying it's one lease.
Yes, but that's not what she's referring to.
Right, but
It is one lease.
Chair Palmer?
that says sleeping rooms rented separately. Go back to your code section on rooming house. Says. Have used holiday place for sleeping quarters are often higher for 3 or more persons. So.
Well.
Jamie, you can check out, because the other definition.
Apartment house or the chart?
No, actually.
A rooming house.
No.
Right.
What was the other definition?
Apartment?
The charts are made up of the high, that's not.
Right,
Right, yeah.
And I don't know if this has been interpreted already, in this rented separately language, because that is not supposed to be located here, but I'm saying. Sorry.
Also, here's a distinction, facilities for the exclusion.
Yeah, I originally said that too.
Or that we've had an efficiency apartment. And it's still fine. Okay.
So it's not an apartment house. But it is a room house.
I still don't get this definition.
Right.
Well, the rooming house didn't reference the rental apartment.
Well.
But Laura, I mean, there's one cooking facility for residents and the facilities, correct?
That's correct.
So you meet the definition of apartment.
I understand what you're suggesting. I don't think I agree with what you're suggesting. This is. Yes. Have you ever told me that before? Never.
You believe it's.
No, I do not believe it's a rooming house. Rooming house no, I believe it's a two-family dwelling with 5 bedrooms in each.
Yeah, I think the interpretation that we've always dealt with is that if it's, you five people don't know each other, live under one roof, and get a rooming house license and have individual leases. I'm assuming, and I believe that the property manager said, there's one lease for 5 people that know each other. Now, to say it can't be exploited, I'm not saying that. I'm saying from a zoning standpoint, this is not a rooming house.
From a legal standpoint, right? Then if I'm allowed to sublet, so let's say I'm the primary and I have the apartment. It kind of makes it accommodated by in the lease, I can sublet to other people. My job is then to collect dollars and then submit.
Well, I mean, where do you draw the line? You could also run a business out of there, pizza place, and make deliveries.
That's the question.
So if they were to get caught doing that, then they'd be in violation. They would need a use variance.
If we're here.
But what they're proposing seems to me to be an appropriate use.
But it's not an appropriate, it's not that rooming house, apartment house has to be in a certain district.
Right.
That's a certain zoning.
But I'm saying from this zoning standpoint, that staff has determined that this is not a rooming house, not an apartment house.
It's a
It's a 2-unit dwelling.
It is in fact that, but it's been as a rooming house. Or.
I disagree.
And I don't want to go too much further down this rabbit hole because I don't know where it gets us, other than you maybe need a variance. Or even a use
variance.
But I think the distinction that you continue to make is that there is one lease for the 5-unit. That's not called out. That's understandable, but that's not called out here, which is our point.
Well, I guess the question then is, what is the university district's?
Well, it's R2F. It's R2F.
So actually, right, we're on use, we're not on folks' opinions at the moment, counselor. I know you get a limited opportunity to practice law, but and that's probably how it ought to be, but that's okay. So we're back on use. If you have a question about the end of the use, I'm gonna say the following. We don't mind, I don't wanna say we don't care, we don't mind what the answer is. We will, if you want us to go to council for this, like a lot of the others do, or if that's your interpretation, if you think that's where we need to go, we will. We'll convert the BZA back to a council variance, and we can certainly do that. It's just not the interpretation that we're used to doing, and it's not for a lot of the properties on that we're doing. It's not what we're used to doing. I don't need to fight all those battles. We just want to do whatever is compliant. If you're suggesting it and you're not comfortable voting on it, go back to staff. Do you know what though? You know why? Maybe I would suggest, ma'am, is because nobody tells you that it's 5 bedrooms.
I would say no one discloses the number of bedrooms and bathrooms.
That's right.
I think.
And
It's
the
usually
only
just the
reason-
footprint, the density.
That's right.
And that's interesting. You and I had that discussion earlier, Chair. And while it does set off an alarm, it's not a zoning concern.
It's a
Zoning concern.
voting with you on this one. I do want to know what the university districts think for. If you can disclose that in the paper.
Absolutely. Here, would you go back to my PowerPoint real quick? No
Yeah,
worries.
yeah.
So actually, there's a number of folks here from the university area, just in terms of neighbors. It was an 8-3 vote. The 8 folks, in my opinion, were interested in retaining the bungalow. There was questioned as historic. Real quick, Bradley, did you check into the historic nature of the building?
Yeah, it's not historic.
And so how did you come up with that determination?
I reviewed I'm sorry, it's not historic. I reviewed the Sanborn maps, and the information on the Sanborn maps matches what's on the auditor's website, and it is not historic.
So in answering your question, so click for me ahead. So That's the bungalow. The complaints are the size and the number of people. And our point is that we fit aesthetically and architecturally, but also with unit count. Keep clicking forward.
Use a microphone.
Oh, can do, thank you. So here, we've moved a little farther to the west. So you can see there's a number of the big 4 squares and a lot of the doubles. The next one for me, dear. Here is across the street, and there are some smaller, and then you see that's almost directly across the street, and then as you go back to the west, you see larger. Now here, this is our building, it's to the right of this screen. There's a big double next to us, and then there's 2 single family, and then there's a converted commercial back to residential there. Next. Thank you. And then here's just a little bit farther down. You see the size and the massing and scale of these. Okay, next one. Yes, let's ask the property manager, Brian, speaking to the microphone for me. So in, tell the board exactly what it is you do for a living.
Yeah, so I do manage properties in that area. About 50% of our holdings are in campus. The other rest of them, UA, LinkedIn, Bentonville.
You were involved in buying this site too, yes?
Well, our company was.
Yes.
I wasn't the primary. I kind of got involved after the fact because we just wanted to make sure we ended up with a product that I could rent. So that's kind of when I got involved. Kind of late in the game with these guys and we turned things over to them, like, hey, we want it legal, we want to do it right. We first met with the board and the board's like, hey, we're not letting you put a 15 unit in on West Oakland. There's a 19 unit proposed. We're like, that's fine. We'll work with the neighborhood. We want to be part of the neighborhood. We've been in business there for 20 years and in great standing with every other neighbor and OSU.
You own other properties in this corridor?
The company,
Tell us what, yes, the company. And tell us what you know about East Patterson Avenue in terms of owner versus renter.
Correct. It's almost all rent. It's almost all college. Do you have the bottom of that picture?
Yes, can you, the next, thank you. So there we are located.
Yeah, do you have the one where we actually went to?
Yes.
So Auditor's website is never accurate on real life.
This is it, yes.
You know, so if you look at the bottom, you can see. We
Now,
went-
hold on one second. For the record, we're looking at Patterson Avenue breakdown of units. It's in chart format. Brian, did you prepare this?
I did.
Okay, what's the source of this information?
Yeah, we use like Zillow ads, real estate ads, rental marketing tools.
And verification from owners that return your calls?
Correct, and people that will return the calls, yes. So when you look and see, it's many of them, exactly what we're trying to put into the neighborhood.
What are the numbers of this?
So can you see there's a way that at the bottom, it has an address and then has a number of bedrooms, number of parking spaces. And
So-
so I was just trying to show you that we're asking you to build what's already there.
In terms of quality, character, style, there's already 3 within just that block that have 10 bedrooms, correct? And then originally, as I mentioned, the issue was mostly parking, so we were tracking parking spots as well. So there's a number of 8 units and there's a number of 6 units, and they have varying parking, correct?
Correct.
Okay, go to the next one for me, please. Oh, go ahead.
Most people that are parking on the street, is that right?
So it's interesting, the house beside us has a brand new parking slab that has, I don't know, 8 parking spots. It seems to be some street parking and some on street.
So Brian, this is the exhibit, the aerial photography that we were looking at. So there's a number of them that are highlighted there in red. Those are the other ones that have significant rear-loaded parking coming off the alleys, yes?
Correct.
And then the purple show that have at least 4. And then the blue are just intended to show that we have their tree, but they do have parking, or it's hard to see, but if you drive, you can see. So it's predominant in the area that the homes on Patterson Avenue and farther north access and park on slabs from the rear alley and in the backyard, correct?
Correct.
Okay, you click just a couple more forward. So what am I looking at here, Brian, as we walk through these? Just walk through them real slowly.
Yeah, just different parking options of houses that already exist right beside that area.
And this is Patterson Avenue. Keep going for me. We'll just click through them quickly. This is Patterson Avenue, correct? This is more, this is how folks park. This is a newer one, correct? Okay, keep it.
And your property is not going to put it back.
We are planning to put it back. That's right. Look through just a couple more and then I want Brian to talk real quick. So these are all in the neighborhood, those are on the corner. That's one that's supposed to be parking. There's no parking available to that unit. Is that correct? The corner one,
Yeah, not that I could tell.
corner of Adams and, okay. So just click through a couple more and then I'm gonna tell you when to stop. Keep going. This is these are all existing parking lots in other places. Now, real quick, while you're going through those, Brian, why do you think it's important to have the parking?
You know, for years, anytime we ever did anything on the campus area, everyone screamed, you need to have parking, you need to have parking. People want parking, they want their cars off the streets. Oakland, the street, like, we have pictures of it, it's just bumper to bumper.
Just slowly click through there for, this is Patterson, correct? This is the beginning of Patterson coming up Hyde. And so this is a little further down Patterson. Okay, so there's actually a couple spaces available in front of yours. Go one more forward, please. Oh, thank you. Okay, then next. This is Oakland, correct?
Correct.
Okay, click down a little farther. Okay, that's the street connecting Oakland and Patterson, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, stop right there. Bradley, real quick, before we get to, and we're gonna answer, the gentleman's question. Most of our opposition comes from the Oakland Avenue neighbors. Can you talk about the difference between the more historic Oakland Avenue and the Patterson Avenue corridor? Yes, please.
So the Oakland Street is in a historic district, registered historic district. One block south. So Patterson is not in that same historic district. So the development along Oakland was, very specific, very orderly, but then Patterson, it just kind of grew over time. So it's a completely different character than the area that we're trying to redevelop.
What is it?
Same area commission, yes, but more historic with different categories if there were to be new build or renovation. Okay, the last two things that I have real quick, right, can you identify this document we have it marked as Exhibit D, please?
Yeah, it's just a letter written from another homeowner, investor in the neighborhood that was for our project.
Okay, thank you, and his name's Tim Warner?
Tim Warner.
And he wrote this to you?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, great, so we'll mark that as E for the record. And then I just want to approach real quick if I may.
Good.
Private space, so I do not. We'd ask you to take notice of the public records that are available. There are at least 15 approvals in the University Area Commission there for similar types of variances, and in particular, the FAR. They range up into the high 0.9s and down as low as just above the 0.4 that are requirement. There's at least 15 of them that have been approved since 2020. Those are only BZAs. Those aren't the ones that are going to council otherwise. That's everything we have. Sorry, it took a little longer, but do you have any other questions at this time? Other than that big one?
As the park, that would be.
Site plan? Okay. Got a couple more.
Are we talking about the site plan for this project? Gotcha.
Yes. Yes.
Those are stacks.
Yes, ma'am? Correct. Mhm.
Is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Okay. That's fine.
Thank you.
I'll do this. So we can get the chairs rotating. And when 6 months chair, the next one chair. Everyone. They don't want to first. So moving, we are going to rewind, so, on your name. Raise your hand.
You guys have the PowerPoint.
Yes.
You want me to run that? That's the one on the yes. Right?
So let me set the PowerPoint.
Is it somewhere in here?
What was it called? I emailed it to you.
Oh, yeah. I don't know which one it is though, but this is the.
eliminate.
This me, guy. Yeah, I don't know. History zoning board presentation.
Madam Chair, if I may. It would be helpful to the record if the applicants could state that live how far away from the subject property. You
We,
So let's, who was,
Sorry.
so we can say today, we're like, it's more, and then go
My name is,
before we begin, which is your PowerPoint presentation? Do you remember the title?
Is it that fourth one?
I think that's,
One of the best in the PowerPoint.
Yeah, I think that's it.
No, that was theirs. Okay. Oh, boy. Maybe zoning board presentation.
This is,
yeah,
Is this it? Perfect.
And just say slide when you want us to move on.
Yeah.
Are you three going together or going separate?
Well, my name is Lisa Yashan. I was, okay, and I was sworn in.
Okay.
This,
don't know what to say.
oh, I'm sorry. All right, my name is Lisa Yashan, and I was sworn in.
Okay.
And this PowerPoint was completed, YASHON. And it's also, yeah. This PowerPoint was completed by 6 neighbors and also with the input of 20 neighbors.
You need a different, I can't hear her. And that's louder, right? That's not how to work. Put it closer to your mouth.
Okay.
Lisa.
Hello? Is that better?
That's much better.
Give it up.
Is that good?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm trying to understand for timing purposes. Are you guys going as a group or are you going individually in your comment?
We each have a page of the PowerPoint. It's what PowerPoint that we're, 6 of us are presenting.
And we'll each do less than 3 minutes.
You are already on.
Yes.
Oh, perfect. I would say that 3 minutes. You already know 3.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, if you,
It's, you do.
okay, I'm sorry. I know why. All right. Okay, if you can advance to the next. All right, so these are some of our homes on East Oakland Avenue, the street that shares an alley with 103 East Patterson Avenue. Our 6 PowerPoint presenters have a combined total of over 170 years living in this neighborhood. I thought it was 150, but it's actually 170. So we cherish our community for its diverse population, central location, front porch friendliness, stunning gardens, and rich history. Next slide. 20-plus residents have appeared before the University Area Commission on 5 occasions regarding this development. The application was tabled 3 times, unanimously rejected once, and most recently on August 21st, it was voted down by the full UAC with a tally of 8-3. Next slide. So Columbus's Code of Ordinance grants the BZA the authority to approve variances if it determines that the applicant has shown, quote, practical difficulties that unreasonably deprive the applicant of the permitted use of the property, end quote. We believe that the developer of 103 East Patterson does not face any such practical difficulties. We will discuss each of the 7 criteria outlined in section 3307.09 to support our position.
Excuse me. Mr. Sean. What are you afraid of? You started by saying, with the neighbor that shared Patterson. What are you afraid of?
We will present. We talk about it. We'll talk about, you'll hear it from each of us. And then afterwards, if you have questions.
You know what I'm afraid of?
Well, what we're afraid of is, I believe 56% of the houses are smaller bungalows and single-family homes. And if this is granted, what would prevent all of the other ones from being torn down and turned into apartment buildings, basically with 10 bedrooms and 10 bathrooms and 8 parking spots? So that would be like 100 people, half a block. And it's just untenable for an area that already is the densest in the entire city.
And so homes that are on your shores, the 6 homes here. How many bedrooms
3 or 4. You're not gonna have to worry about me, I'm very loud, so I'll try and actually tone it down. Sure, my name is Kathy Signorino, I was sworn in, I am a neighbor. I am a neighbor on Oakland Avenue, I have lived there for 30 years, and I'm about a block and a half away from the house that's in question. I am going to speak tonight to the variances of number 1, which is whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return or whether they can be any beneficial use of the property without a variance. I will also speak to variance number 5, which is whether the property owner purchased the property with knowledge of the zoning restriction. The buyer and listing agent are related entities. If you want to forward the slide, thank you, sorry about that. Are related entities and were aware of the home's investment potential when they purchased it for $250,000. 103 East Patterson was purchased by John Prudien, who is an out-of-state developer, and Brian Fraley, a realtor for C.R. O'Neill, an owner of management company Ohio State Properties. In October 2023, from Gerard P. O'Neill, also a realtor at C.R. O'Neill. Given the extensive property portfolios, it is inconceivable that they were unaware of zoning restrictions. The applicant's BZA statement of hardship claims, sorry, next slide, good, thank you. That the current structure is in significant disrepair and needs to be demolished. This contradicts both their listing description, the exact language below shown here, and its actual condition, which had tenants up until July 31st of 2024. It reads, North OSU campus 3 to 4 bedroom house leased from 7/31/2024. I'm sorry, lease 2. This is a turnkey investment. Tenants pay all utilities. Professional management in place if needed. Electric stove, refrigerator, first floor washer dryer, gas heat, central air, hardwood floors throughout. Huge deck and shady yard of 4-car off-street parking. Walking distance to North High Street shops, restaurants, bus stops. Next slide, please. So you will see here the interior shops of the house that are in disrepair and has to be torn down. I do want to take a special note that they said it was not a historic house. It is a historic house. It's an over 100-year-old house. It might just not have historic relevance beyond this neighborhood, meaning it is not a historic prominence, but it is historic. It is over 100 years old. The buyer is able to achieve a reasonable return on investment without the variance. The reasonable rate of return for rental properties is 6%. With a $250,000 purchase price, this equals $15,000 annually. Factoring in an additional $585 a month, or $7,020 annually for property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and management fees. This equals $22,020 or $1,835 in rent per month. Up until July 31st of 2024, the monthly rent paid on this property was $1,900. Even if they argue that they cannot achieve a satisfactory return on investment, neighbors should not have to bear the consequences of a developer's investment decisions. It is important to remember that the developers are seeking permission to deviate from established standards, and they need to demonstrate that they are justified in making such requests. And I'm done. Thank you, yes.
What's your
I am looking to my friend Lisa to put this together. I just present her.
Okay, so.
I don't. Thank you.
When you say the monthly rate is $900.
From the Zillow listings that.
The rest of
Sure. And just in relation to what my, no, I'm turning it over to my neighbor here, my friend. The issue I have is the exact same issue that Lisa has. If you start this domino effect in this neighborhood, this is exactly what happened in Norwich, which is one street south of Northwood. It's just apartment buildings and there's no character to the neighborhood, and it's really sad.
This already exists.
What do you mean, what? Yeah, but these were probably 3-bedroom half doubles that then they made the attics of these half doubles into 2 additional bedrooms. And that's how you get 5 bedrooms. But it's not 5 bedrooms, it's 5 bathrooms. It's 2 bathrooms on each of those half doubles. My issues is tearing down a house and yeah.
But the issue with the bathroom.
Sure, yeah, that load on our sewer. Yeah. Yeah.
They are gonna have duplexes that like 5 bedrooms, but it's bad. So it's a lot.
Yeah, I'm just saying that if they tear down a 3-bedroom house to put in a 10 bedroom building, and they do that for every 3-bedroom house that's on the street, that's a problem.
Hi, my name is Ken Wilford. I live at 72 East Oakland Avenue, which is behind this property across the alley. I want to talk about criteria number 2, which is whether the variance is substantial. It is true that 2 of the 5 requested variances are substantial. 1, the maximum lot coverage is a 25% maximum, but 40% is proposed. This is a 60.2% increase in coverage. 2, maximum floor area ratio are, there's a 0.4 maximum, but 0.62 is proposed. This is a 57.5% increase in maximum FAR, and a 375 increase with the current FAR. There are 2 departures from the University District plan. One is parking. 8 to 10 stacked parking spots are proposed. The maximum is 4 spaces per building per unit. There are currently 4 spaces, not 4 to 6, as mentioned in their statement of hardship. And then landscaping, the minimum landscape area should be 20%. Their proposal is 4%. Next slide. The applicant's statement of hardship reads, the variance for FAR revision is significantly comparable with East Patterson Avenue and reflects strongly the essential character of the neighborhood as large homes mostly rented for students at OSU. However, based on the below census, the FAR revision is not compatible at almost double the average. Note the average FAR comparison between East and Adams is only 0.35. Next slide. So the large white building in the center is next door. That's 95/97 Patterson. They failed to mention that a parking pad in the back is illegal. Parking pads need to be submitted and approved. This parking pad next door that contains 10 parking spots was never approved and was put in illegally.
The car does not, the parking had.
Yes.
That's.
Well, because they brought that up in their presentation as being something compatible in the neighborhood. It's illegal though, so it's not a good comparison. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Enid Quinn. I have been sworn in.
I live at 108 East Northwood Avenue, which is the northwest corner of Adams Avenue and Northwood Avenue. So it is almost exactly 2 blocks away from 103 East Patterson. I would like to talk about criteria number 3, whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered, and whether adjoining properties would suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance. I believe they would. 9 to 16 structures, 56% on the block between the alley and Adams Avenue are small, single-family homes or bungalows. If the FAR and maximum lot coverage variances are approved, what will prevent these homes from also being torn down and replaced with massive duplexes? The top picture is 3 homes immediately to the east of 103 East Patterson, and the bottom 3 pictures are homes across the street from 103 East Patterson. So as you see, there are a not insignificant number of small single-family homes or bungalows on the street. The other, yeah, sorry. No, it's okay.
The applicant, the applicant, opposite of the
Sorry, Chair. Opposite of.
sorry, the applicant is saying opposite, right, which is that the majority of homes, you know, take the three out. That a lot of homes in the area were large duplexes.
I believe so, yes. And it's not the majority of the homes in the neighborhood, it's a mix.
Majority. But there's mix. It seems like, look at, we're at. I mean, I see your number is 6%.
Yes.
But that's, we're at.
It's close to half, but there is a difference, it's 56%. Any other questions? Okay, I'd like to talk about criteria number 4, which is whether the variance would adversely affect the delivery of services, water, sewer, and service. Yes. The photo below, taken on August 22nd in the alley behind Patterson Avenue, just 2 days after trash collection, shows the current situation. With 10 residents using only 2 90-gallon dumpsters, this will lead to significant nuisance and health risks. These, yes, and I know that some neighborhoods have had larger dumpsters, but this is as it stands now.
Is the subject property address?
Adjacent. It's adjacent. It's not theirs, but that property is not inhabited right now, the one that we're discussing in that variance.
But this is the house is the trash. How many bedrooms? Do you know?
I'm not aware.
I believe that one's 10.
10. Okay. All right, and the other picture of the university district does have running sewers, which can lead to several problems, including overflow during heavy rain, water pollution, infrastructure strain, and risk to public health. If all 9 closes and small houses plus 103 become 10-bedroom detached units, this will add 100 or more people to have a city block, resulting in sewage dumped into the Olentangy River. With the infrastructure of 100-plus-year-old houses, failure to address environmental issues like these will become a big financial problem and an inconvenience to the city, homeowners, and investors alike. Thank you.
Capacity of sewage for water.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. Clarify.
Last slide. Well, I'm so I'm curious to see.
I don't know exactly what the capacity is, however, I know from my own experience of almost 50 years living in this neighborhood that the streets are prone to flooding and sewage issues.
What do you think capacity for gas and electric?
Again, I do not know that exact number.
So what's the point of putting infrastructure spring into the slide? Or people?
Yes. Any other questions? Okay, thank you for your time.
That are unedited. Talk about. Whether it's saying the side of the line does have to be in the and this is a of not participating on the page that does not support that. I thought this is great. Well, I just want to present some clarity. I was curious if we're at ask you. But I like this.
My name is Frank.
Does anybody like to come outside and have comments on them? Okay, then we all can run hands. You promise to tell the truth, no, the truth, said I do. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to speak to criteria 6, whether the property owner's predicament feasibly can be obviated through some method other than a variance. The answer, yes. Neighbors and the University Area Commission have repeatedly expressed a desire to preserve the bungalow and expand it if a greater ROI is needed, for instance, with ADU. If the large back porch were never removed, there's space for an addition, an ADU, for example, or a guest house. A notable example of an addition is at 114 East Patterson across the street, and another guest house at 118 East Patterson. Doreen Sauer, University District Historian, Columbus Landmarks Education Outreach Coordinator, and UAC member, told Brian Fraser during the UAC meeting that 103 East Patterson is historically significant as an original structure from the New State. She suggested that the city may offer tax incentives for its restoration. In terms of criteria number 7, was the period to any kind of zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting the variance. We, the neighbors, believe substantial injustice is done by granting these variances. While zoning emphasizes the need for density, and I personally support increasing density in our city, our neighborhood is already the densest in Columbus by a factor of nearly 4. So we see here the average Columbus density at 4,110 per square mile, and then for the University District, 15,171 per square mile. Yes. Oh, yeah, sure. Given that number, yeah. But we're dense. There are many other areas in the city along High Street, along Lane Avenue that are suitable for dense housing development. The side streets, we believe, should maintain their distinctive character, which is a key reason why so many students are attracted to the Old North neighborhood. It feels like home to them, just as it has been for all of us for decades. Zoning also requires that parking is no longer a requirement, so why would 80 to 100% of the student tenants need parking in the back? Public transit is readily available within 2 to 3 blocks. Students walk to school, grocery stores. So if additional parking is needed beyond our 4 spaces, we are tempted to purchase street parking passes just like the rest of us. The Columbus Code permits the BZA to set requirements and conditions for a variance. So we're arguing that restricting parking to 4 spaces will enhance the green space, reduce alley congestion, mitigate the negative impacts on adjacent alley garages caused by stack time. That's my last comment.
We have no questions.
I am, yeah, I'm kind of the, yeah. Hi, my name is Diane Honig. Yes, I was sworn in. I am in partnership with the property that's almost directly behind the development, Patty Corner. And then I live 3 houses down. I wish I had a horse. And if you, I know you said not to address the parking, but if you'll bear with me, it is relevant. Okay. From the letter of hardship presented in the application to the issues raised by the neighbors before me, the developer has not proven any hardship. In the hardship statement, hardship isn't given, only reasonings to pursue you to pass a vote for the variances. I bring before you the issue that may not directly or indirectly be addressed in the variance request as submitted. Parking. 23 I took the map that she had in the staff recommendation and I did an average. I looked at what really had parking and what didn't have parking, and this is what I came up with. And I walked the neighborhood. 23 out of 77 homes, which I actually went just a little bit wider than what her lot showed. The property shown on the application, staff approval, have existing parking in the back. So that's 23 out of 77. 21, which I was just informed, is 22 out of the 23 are legal. I'm sorry, one is legal. One applied for a permit who actually happens to be owned by Brent Fraley, and I was told this afternoon that they can find no proof of that ever going to the UAC or coming to the BZA for approval. So there's one that's legal. And I have to tell you that tomorrow, that's my focus, all the legal and parking. But whoever has one, beware. This small sample of the greater neighborhood has parking in the back, legal or not. The small sample she showed you has parking in the back, legal or not, it's there. Adding a screened parking pad for 8 parking spots, I believe it's non-screened now or screened, I don't know what it was, it's been changing, does not support the development pattern of the neighborhood. Please look at what is the larger neighborhood for the development standards and patterns. I asked you to look at this larger, so that it represents really the neighborhood, because the neighborhood is not just one block. And that is the block that has been focused on. The neighbors are here for the entire community. Our shared commitment to retain the neighborhood with a single family homes or duplexes is what is called for in the R2F zoning. I am not opposed to an investor for a decent return on investment. Yes, I have a little bit of understanding of your ROI, not a lot, but I have some. As I'm a partner in the home behind the lot with my husband, and I live 3 doors down. We all share the direct alley. I do want to say that at a previous meeting with the University District, there were 2 homeowners that were present, and I know one other person that has sent in a letter of opposition. So the 2 homeowners, they actually work at night. They're unable to come today. They had letters to the UDO. The parking lot creates an adverse effect on all the shared use of the alley. Just behind this lot, 1 door over, you know, there's a garage whose garage door has been dented in. Mine has been dented in by another one. It's just what happens. Although I do not love the idea of the home being raised at 103, the greater concern is the parking lot. At the minimum, our request is to add a condition of development, which I believe that you have the authority to do, to keep the parking area as it is today. The developer's attorney's letter states it's 4 to 6 spots. I can tell you, I can park on a dime, and I bet you I would have a hard time getting 4 in there. So we want it to retain to 3 to 4 spots. It's not conducive to the neighborhood, nor are those big lots legal. And it's actually, you can call me an alley rat in the morning. I look quite a bit different than I do now. Neighbors will tell you. When I walk every day, I walk all the alleys. I just do. You'd be amazed at things you find there. But if you add more, like if you add 8 spots with the 10 next to it, which I hope gets removed, but it's just too much congestion. And the people who suffer are the people who live behind you. The people who are behind you can't pull out of their garage. It's a very tight alley. It's a cobblestone alley. That. So we are speaking to you to request to have like an equitable and a fair hearing with this. I realize that this is all code and this is all law, but we don't believe that investors should not make a profit. We don't believe that investors shouldn't do what they want to with their property, but we don't feel like we should pay for that, and we need to, you know, hope that we can make a win-win situation in here, and we have been trying to. We believe that the home, if they want to raise the lot, the home can be built without variances. It can be built and it can be profitable without the variances. So if in the least that you approve some of these variances and they build, raise this, we ask that you put on the conditions of the parking. Respectfully, I thank you.
So you said in your statement that you don't have an objection to being a duplex, so.
I don't have objections to them building. I mean, they bought the lot.
So if they were to agree to limit the 4 spaces, would you be okay with additional variance that basically is just due to the additional bathrooms? Because it's really just space related.
When we did meet with the attorney a while back, and I kind of cut the meeting short and said, my bottom line is 4 parking spaces. That's it. I support it, but it has to be 4 parking spaces. Nothing more back there. My hope would be that there would still be a green space, so it's more of a neighborhood. So do I like it? No, it's not my decision. I didn't buy the property. I would buy it now.
The owner, I mean, does have the right to raise it.
Yeah.
And build a duplex.
Indeed.
They're just trying to get the additional bathroom space, which requires a variance. Otherwise, they really would be for us. So I'm just trying to see if there's a middle ground to make the neighborhood owners happier than they are when this owner has what they're doing. Just the way they want to develop it. Variance, which puts us more in the process. So listen to you guys and try to make a, you know, mediation. Curious as if the parking spaces were bigger than your concerns of variances.
Yes, for me personally. And of course, each person has an opinion. I'm sorry.
And then I asked them for variance.
No, I'm asking for you to put the condition on. I'm asking for that condition. I believe you guys have the authority to do that, to put a
That would
condition.
require variance. If they go below code required, they'd have to come back for variance. Well, actually, that would be code required. 4 is code required.
So they wouldn't need another variance.
You're right.
Yeah, so you know, I'm gonna celebrate after this anyways. Man, we all came together. It's been a good thing.
Sad. The parking that on the.
Oh, we have maximum lot coverage. Is that part of the tax amendment or not?
Parking pad, no. So it would only be for structures.
Nothing is triggering a variance because they're having more space.
Yes, they're asking for a variance for the, agreement space, right?
No.
But that's not part of it.
That's it.
Nope, that's what she just asked.
So a parking pad that covers green space effectively, not the lot.
No, it's not a structure.
Thank you.
There is that caveat in the university district zoning overlay that they have to provide 10% green space landscaping on the site somewhere. So unlike the neighbor, they can't just pave the entire backyard.
Which they do.
This whole area,
Yes.
it's all green. And the side yard.
That's the side part or something.
Excuse me?
Side yards, the sidewalk.
Right.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Bob Singleton. I'm a neighbor, live right around the corner on Adams Avenue. This project would create a 3-bedroom, single-family home for a 2-unit, 10-bedroom apartment building. It is on its face incompatible with the surrounding neighborhood's residential character, especially considering that it's 10 bedrooms are likely to be filled with students. What family would choose to live near what would amount to a dormitory? The requested variances by enlarging the new building's footprint and reducing space between it and its neighbors would create a safety issue. Case of fire in this neighborhood of century-old wood frame construction, firefighters and their equipment could be denied access where they might be needed most. There is also a possibility the applicant has not been entirely truthful in his statement of support. Among a list of so-called Duncan factors, one has to do with whether the property owner purchased the property with knowledge of the zoning restrictions. In response, it stated that the property owner did not have knowledge of the restrictions. This is difficult to believe as the applicant, according to the online real estate marketplace Realty Hop, has been buying and selling homes in Columbus at least since 2005. Of 10 properties listed, 5 are in Old North Columbus within blocks of 73 East Patterson Avenue. Clearly, he knows the territory. Would he not also know its zoning? I ask that board members vote no on this application. Thank you. Can I take a minute to fill out?
Does anybody else want this application?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to briefly walk through a couple of the
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Thank you. I'd like to walk through a couple of the inconsistencies. Brian, you had knowledge of the zoning laws when you bought the property, correct?
Zoning laws?
Yes. You also had knowledge of the 15 prior BZAs that have occurred, correct?
Percent.
And you have knowledge of 100 West Oakland, which is 0.83 FAR?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Bradley, do you think that the gentleman's statement is correct that our application is not on its face consistent with the neighborhood when he describes it as 10 units?
No, it's very consistent.
And what's your basis for saying that, please?
More than half of the houses along Patterson Avenue are duplexes. Some of them have 8, 10 bedrooms.
Yes, thank you.
So we have here. Because they're not,
Actually, Madam Chair, I'll let Bradley answer that and then we'll be more specific for you.
If you go to the Excel spreadsheet that they provided, it actually lists how many duplexes and single-family houses, and there are more duplexes than single-family. I'm not sure where the 56% came from.
No, there's a spreadsheet in the PowerPoint.
That you provided or the app?
Yes, correct. The neighbors.
Yeah, if you look at the bottom totals.
This one. Yes, thank you.
If you look at the bottom totals.
Oh, that was their statement.
Sure, but it does give a total as far as single family versus duplex.
I think, Madam Chair, your point's well taken. You can see the one column that's categorizes them, and we are close to 50-50 on that. The other thing that chart shows is that there are other homes that exceed the FAR standard. And our next door unit is 10, correct? Next door to 103 Patterson, correct?
Yes.
And down the street, there's 2 that are 10. Isn't that correct, Brian? Okay. So I don't want to belabor that point because we're not trying to pick about whether it's 56 or 52, but they are present in the character of Patterson Avenue.
Just to clarify, you can stop it, but just so we're on the same page, on page 12 of the exhibit, the 56 comes from 9 is a 16 structure, the block between the alley and Adams Avenue. So you're probably counting additional properties that maybe make it up.
Yeah, I think it would depend on when you stop.
Exactly, that's why I just want to clear for the record why there's 2 different
And for the record, we didn't actually take the count. We were looking at our blog. Okay, Bradley, this is a non-conforming lot. Can you talk about that real quick?
The existing bungalow is too close to the adjacent property line, so if we were to keep it and do any additions, we would require variances regardless. Yes, so no matter what, we would need variances. If we were to do additions like the neighbors had suggested or do improvements to it, the existing lot does not meet current zoning standards.
Because this is an R2F, correct?
Correct.
And that requires 50 feet, right?
Yes.
And we are 40.
Correct.
So. We can do something there.
Quick question, level of intensity, what do you mean by that?
We do not conforming, what do we call? Existing not conforming issues. You done it with us, we do it all. That's not.
Okay.
So, gentlemen, you asked him, was he aware of zoning restrictions? He said yes. Are you saying that they said
No, I'm absolutely admitting that. First of all, it's not a required hardship, it is practical difficulties. It's a balancing test of the Duncan factors. And so we call them statements of hardship. A hardship is a condition, a unique feature of the land. I would argue that the fact that we are on a lot that is smaller than the code currently permits, the lot itself is legally existing but non-conforming because it's not 50 feet. So most things that we would build here, unless it was a very super narrow, would need variances of some kind or another. That's the feasibility that's captured in the Duncan criteria. They're a balancing test. What's most feasible? Is it possible to get away with no variances? Or have we picked the variances that accent code compliance and aesthetic compatibility with the neighborhood, as opposed to trying to eliminate all of them? That's why the explanation for the height. In this case, we're asking for the 3-foot side variance so that we can take and build only on our lot, which does not occur to our neighbor, and center it. So that it looks like it fits, even though we're 10 feet shy of what the zoning code wants. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Let me understand why you went that and your explanation is now. It sounds as though it's a contradiction.
Oh, no, we're acknowledging that because as we go through the various Duncan factors, I would suggest to you that we have a hardship because we're on a 40-foot lot and the code requires 50. We have a.
She said that he was not aware. That's why.
No, our statement, I don't think our statement actually speaks to that. We are aware of those restrictions. I don't think our statement says that we were or were not aware of them. That's right. No, that's right.
That's not written anywhere. That's fine. I can have on a CC's reference. My next one is and you know, there's no point side sizes of sewer ones.
Yes. Yes.
Would you that this neighborhood does not have the capacity based on its age alone to support and increase number of residents, for example?
Yes.
Would you?
No, actually, and what I think doesn't matter, staff, was this application routed to sewers and drains?
Yes.
Did we receive any questions or comments that the sewer lines and water lines don't have capacity or adequate infrastructure to service these?
No.
That's all that matters. That's the only evidence in the record.
Okay, but I think I'm speaking specifically to the community, which is what they say. You do this on this unit, and now you have 10 more that could do the same thing. And that can get community, and I'm sure the city of Columbus was making sure that they say, oh, no, one building. We have 10 buildings, it's the same thing. In fact, it is.
So I'm going to suggest to you that I am hearing you, but what you are offering is speculation. What we have in the record is no objection from the sewers and drains department currently. There have been other cases that I have handled, and just in not specific answer to the question of this property, city staff points that out to you. And that's commonly when you go through the process, if there is or is not, or where the availability of a line is, there's already a sewer line back here. So there's no question as far as the evidence in the record that there's inadequate infrastructure or capacity of lines.
This development is not. I was like, let's, we'll talk about present. If I say yes to you, all these other things come to the same thing. So I ask, yeah.
In this case, they're already here, but yes.
Let's say, hey, I don't know, we need it, or here, I'm talking about, tearing out the building. Exactly what you're proposing. For 10 units on this street.
Yes.
That impact is going to be.
Technically, it is 2 new units, and next door, there are already 10 bedrooms in a 2-unit. Across the street, there are already 10 with 2. Down the street, there are 3 of them on this block. There are also 3 of them with 8. There are also several of them with 6. So I hear what you are saying, and I appreciate the point, but I'm suggesting to you that that is speculation and not the evidence in the record presented by city staff experts.
Understood, right?
No, absolutely. Just in answering a few of the remaining questions. Issues with regard to the condition of the house are irrelevant. I'm going to object. Yeah, I'm going to object on the record, for purposes of the record, to the evidence that was submitted and to a testimony that was provided. Various statements were made. There is no personal knowledge of the information. There was speculation. There was no personal knowledge. To the board member's question, there was no specific evidence or foundation laid for testimony. Wait.
Other things. Without already understanding that he has issued you.
Sorry, we can go back to hear Laura's full objection and process reaction from the chair. Look at your questions as well.
So my objection was to strike the exhibit, strike the testimony, lack of foundation, lack of personal knowledge, speculation, failure to provide facts. Ultimately, there's a failure to provide foundation as to testimony about what a reasonable rate of return would be. So that's the objection completely, then I'll answer Eric.
But as far as the statement, return, anybody who can come up with math produces these numbers. So
That's right, but is Google, but there's an expert who would determine the compatibility of numbers versus rate of return, ROI.
They actually decide their pockets.com there as the source, so it's not saying. That is fair. Then they go example, $250,000 purchase price, this is blah, blah. I don't see a reason to like that. I want to read that the condition of the property is directly against the area. And I don't get it. Saying that it's because
You're saying it's irrelevant?
the status of the that's there has no bearing on the variance.
I would agree with that, except that her own witnesses. Talk about how it was repair this and replace that. That was just.
That's absolutely fine. I'm going to say 2 things. First, I don't have an opportunity to cross-examine the .com that gave their opinion about, understood. The neighbors are,
What it needs to pay to return on the rental properties is percent, 2.5%.
I'm gonna retract that and say it's a hearsay of sense, right? It's proof of the matter asserted by an outside source that I don't have the ability, right?
There's a for a rental property, it's not directed to this piece of property, it was just a blanket statement. Example, template, proposed property.
I appreciate the opportunity to put my objection for hearsay on the record. Understood. Our points about the status and of the home are specifically tailored to the comments that we received from the neighbors. If the board would like, I'll introduce the home inspection report as an exhibit.
I'm here one way or the other, but don't say it's not relevant. Now, that was part of the case. That witness. That's why it should be torn down with what you all brought.
Okay, Eric, your question was, how can we say that we cannot feasibly obviate all variances? I'm gonna ask the architect who is designing a home. Yeah.
The first of the property, a question about whether you do that would be first. The owner is already eliminated other raises. Feasibly. So given experts that are who this establishment, you're still testifying that they didn't know at the time of the purchase.
Actually, just for point of clarification, I'm not testifying at all. Brian Fraley, I'm just making an argument. Yep. So actually, I do not believe that that's the point we're making. We are saying we know what the zoning code is. Did you purchase it with knowledge of the law? And so, yes. Did you purchase it with knowledge of the law?
So to just really clarify, I'm not the one that purchased it, and I wasn't involved at the very beginning. So I'm only telling you what I think I've heard from these guys, that they knew the city was saying like, hey, we need more housing. We want to create more housing, density. We did some basic research at the beginning. We knew that we were going to have to go through zoning and do things the correct way, unlike that parking lot apparently, which was what we wanted to do. So we knew that there was going to be hurdles to jump through, and we knew we might have to compromise. That's why we went down from 15 units, a 3 to a 2. So we were learning as we were going. So yes, did we know that there was going to be zoning things? Yes. Did we know this whole thing was going to drag out this long and be this complex? No. This is the first time we've ever done it.
Counselor, why that?
Yes, so the Dunning test is on balance, right? Of those factors, did we know that there were rules and there might be something to do? Yes, absolutely. My balance. Oh, no, we're admitting that. Yeah, absolutely.
This is the first time we've ever done something like this. We've never built from ground up. So there's
So I think I would make 2 points really is on balance. And I would ask that, just for clarification, there was a photo of the trash and I think you picked up on it. That's not our trash. And there's nobody living there right now, but a month and a half ago, there was somebody living there. So I'm gonna, just in terms of those photos, the balancing test, right? Is there an adverse effect on the neighbors? Is it more than the 10 that live next door and the 6 that live next door on the other side? And so it's keeping with the essential character. Is 2 more people tipping the scales for an adverse effect in the university area? Is 2 more people? It's 4 more people? What's that tipping point in terms of where that is? We don't believe there's a negative adverse effect. It's new construction. It's new private improvement to the area. Furthermore, there's no evidence in the record that the delivery of governmental services is in any way impacted. So then you come down to, did you know about it? Yes, we did. Can we feasibly obviate them? You've heard the testimony of the architect. It indicates we're on a 40-foot lot. The code says you're all supposed to be on 50. We're starting 10 feet down on either side to begin with. That's how I think we would answer that question. The final point that I want to make to you is, did you have any belief that this was historical in any way?
No, no.
Okay. The other thing that I would like to ask and be stricken from the exhibit testimony was the speculation provided that a member of the University Area Commission suggested that the property was historic based on their service on the board. We have an architect here who was questioned, and I'd like you to talk about your experience in researching the historic nature of the property.
Sure. So it was suggested for us to do some background research on the house itself to see if it existed prior to the right of way. And based on my research and Sanborn maps, the right of way existed and the house existed. So it wasn't connected to any historic farm or any historic property prior to Patterson being plotted.
And just for clarification, no, we have a sworn testimony here. Happy to answer any other questions. Appreciate your time. Yes.
So.
Everybody here is very diligent about research. I assume most of it is pretty accurate. You keep referring to these 5 bedrooms, 8 bedrooms. And there was also a reference to legal or let's call it, but are these approved 5 bedrooms? Did you do that research to determine if these are legitimate bedrooms and legitimate units in these other properties referencing that are already existing?
Brian?
I did not on most of them. Some of them we actually manage and they're fine. I went by Zillow ads, it's in market.
So that's
Right, just practical. I'm telling you what's practically there today, whether it's licensed and approved, I do not know that.
which makes you agree.
Yes, to some degree, yes.
I mean, you're basically saying, we're gonna do this, because our property is this, we're gonna do it with your help. And make it. We're those.
Objection. Just quick, are you asking about the bedrooms or are you asking about the parking? Because I saw those as 2 different issues that were raised as legal versus not legal.
Specific. You're referring to existing units in the community that are 5 bedrooms, right? Saying those legitimately 5 bedrooms that have approved, or they in place that had an attic space that maybe the government or the city government doesn't even know about.
Can you answer that
I
question?
don't know that.
You put up the exhibit where we have the blocks with the square footage, please. So I think all that the witness can testify to is his personal knowledge and his own research and the verification that he got on a few of them, but, and the few that he owns.
Right, and who's referring to use. So somebody takes it and put it in the basement. That's not legitimate or free. But it happens.
Correct. I didn't see any of those, if that does help, like from the research I did. Correct, there is some, I'm sure there's some attics in that area that are.
No, I didn't check whether or not the existing uses of the entire neighborhood are legal. Are there?
Not with all of them, but
The 10, we own them and we have no code violations, some of them. Right, not the 10 unit, but the 8 units, that's right. No, I didn't check to see if the entire street was under code orders. Well, the ones that show. So on the chart, it's being shown there in the exhibit.
No, to Mrs. Jones's point, which is you're using that as justification, or, examples of others in the area. Valid question. Legitimate.
Yeah, I don't know.
But, and for the record, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, is that 12 or 13? I can't see from my own spot. Are those just 12 different units that you check?
Say that again.
Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 units on Patterson that you personally checked.
Well, personally checked, I looked up more.
Yes.
Yes.
You look up the number of bedrooms they offer.
That's correct.
Yes.
Understood. I'm saying to you, the chairwoman asked me if I checked them, and I said, we did not check them for the entire street. And the chair's question to me was the perspective, and I'm saying just the 15 that were verified.
You know, she's saying that we checked the answer.
Those, that's right. Yes.
Okay. This question, which was it 10 units, the 8 units, do you remember what they said? They said read 10 units. 5. Did you check to see where this goes?
I'm not the witness.
I did marketing. I just saw what other people had advertised and were advertising. Yeah, so.
Very well, for all we know, right?
That is correct.
By code and legal definition, yes. I would say this, though, I would hope you give us credit that we are trying to do it right, not be like those people.
No, I appreciate you guys feeling the project.
Yeah.
I just have some about what this was like before. You know, you might not be the first one adopting it. I'm working with what I say yes. I gotta say yes, all these other adoptions. What have I done?
Actually, it's been done 15 times since 2020. It's been, this board has approved 15 other cases of variances that are pretty similar. That's exhibit, C.
I don't know that I looked at. You guys were providing a great deal of information.
Probably too much.
Search, frankly, and the opposing side as well. I don't know that we've ever, in my so your point, maybe it has this level of information.
Thank you.
In order to. Does it allow? Does it allow?
No.
Either one of those. Are
I'm good. I had that code section. Up.
Yeah. I can hear.
Just bring up the code.
Yep.
Right there. These are the uses.
Okay. That's where that's what I'm to, is that I'm not convinced that it is or it's not an apartment house or a greenhouse, so I would be weirdly to approve it on that basis a little bit. I think that needs to be determined. I think it's someone higher than me. It's mine.
So can I just take that one right off your plate and say, if that's an issue, and in terms of voting for you, which I perceive that it is, we're willing to table, and if this needs to be converted to a council variance, we will do that. I don't feel like I need to press forward for any legal determination or opinion from the staff, like in a hurry or in a rush. And if it has to go back to being a council variance, we'll just do whatever needs to be done to get it approved.
I don't know if Denver House is taking it as a council variance or not. It's something.
We can convert it.
Well, I mean, if you'd like, I can look up the determination by the zoning clearance officer. I'll get out of this.
I got you.
Yeah, just get out of that. Don't settle.
It's time to get the other ones.
Give here.
Well, she knows her stuff. So.
I think maybe people think of mine. So I have it. Sign in.
It may be a note, it may not.
It's the same.
Just look at the parcel.
Yep, gotcha.
Jamie's the only person who can get into that website, by the way. Particular acuity there.
0.
I'm trying to do record.
Just go to the, yeah, right there. I'm looking
Just right here? Yeah.
0 0. There we go. So
025 650. But that's gonna bring up, we need to. Yeah.
Searching.
Do we need to search it in the records? Like,
We need the 630.
what's it called?
Right back to. You could explain what you're doing.
Sure.
So we have that.
So we're looking to Acela, which is our civic platform that holds all the different permits, ultimately for a final site compliance plan. In order to, every development needs a final site compliance plan. First thing you come through is the preliminary site compliance plan. We get review from the different review agencies. Look up the 630.
I have it. So what was that?
So, as Laura mentioned, there was a preliminary meeting with all the different city agencies to make a determination on the use. Well, only zoning makes a determination on the use. Sewers and drains, traffic management, everyone else would make a determination on the feasibility based on their standards. So I'm looking for the preliminary site compliance letter where zoning discusses, that was a CV, there's gotta be more. Okay.
Evidently.
So these are the zoning code violations, that is the council variance that was converted, withdrawn, and then the BZA, so. Well, I mean, we're looking at parcel numbers, so it should have everything.
Yeah.
Oh, but go back to, search, expanding the, so, 2020.
Might be wrong. Let's go there.
Just hit that.
So Jamie?
Yeah.
And I agree, just a zoning person would make this determination. But since it is not a practice, and I would consider it, it's all about. They can ask two family homes, community home, and all depicted separately. You're saying they work, but they're all, it's common practice. So it is the option, is if I, in this location would say, practice, we don't, it was just this as a area.
No.
There's a whole board that deals with that. There's a whole board that deals with those kinds of issues.
So
And you get a license for it. So.
603. Property maintenance.
I would say for the board's benefit, this is an area that's actually involved within the city and may not have a final resolution. I won't speak to that any further for the purposes of it tonight. And your determination. See, on this, my advice is the officer has determined that this is a variance to analyze it as such, understanding that particular use. If the property owner gets the variances, there may be a risk that's cited, legal proving out your circumstances. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't have something to the effect that this is property in this case. See. That's me.
Development standards.
Variance for good counsel, variances. I don't think our area variance request, and if it's a compliance officer has determined to go before the BCA, go ahead.
So here's a wrinkle. Did you even apply for a preliminary site review?
That was part of the process when we applied for the CV.
They just get referred to the CV. This wouldn't show any of that.
So just on our behalf, I think that the suggestion by council makes sense here on variances, those limited list of variances. If there is a use issue after the fact, and if you're inclined to vote on the area variances, the development standards, we would take that. Then we'll get a decision or a determination after the fact. Yeah, we would thank you for the suggestion. We'd be willing to do that. I think that's appropriate.
The other things there for the record, if there was discussion at table, council or.
Only if the use, I thought your suggestion was in lieu of that, which I thought was practical.
If there are requests, able to given variance.
No, I would suggest to move forward with the area variance instead. And let the use be determined after that.
That would be caught in final site compliance regardless. If it truly is not allowed use.
Or it would be caught Wednesday morning, maybe by about 10 a.m. if I'm here early.
I have one more piece of advice for the board, since it is a complex matter. One first impression, given the amount of evidence and presentation of those opposed evidence in support of the applicant. If each board member could at some length discuss their reasoning, whatever in your vote, and then make your vote on the record at the appropriate time as we usually do, but preface it with some specifically, some keep them on. They're really here. So my encouragement to you, the board members, to do that again before you vote. And Dane, could I request that you go and have section 337.9.
Hit me with that section again.
3307.9. These are the factors that the board should review and weigh as you're making your determination. So feel free to employ these factors in your reasoning before you make it. I'll tell you.
Madam Chair, I have a question for. In response to an neighbor's request to buy parking space. Not making it condition by the board.
Thank you for the question.
I agree, and I just brought that up to her. I like the route you were going. I don't want to fight with these people. This is struggling long enough. We thought we were doing a good thing. We thought we were building a safer building, a better building. We were shocked when all this came up. So I like when you said, like, could we compromise? But we'll be very honest, that the UAC asked that board to do it for us, and they refused. And in negotiations, just to be fair to me too, we did go from 15 and 10 spots to, well, 3 units, 15 beds, to 2 and 10. And I went from 10 to 8, and there was never compromise on their end. I would say that if I could get 6 parking spots, I could live with that. And I am very willing to put that on the table if it would be a done deal tonight, and we could all just move forward. And I think hopefully they could live with that. And I've, like I said, we've given a lot already, so I want you to want that to be on the record. We've tried to, believe me, if I can get it done tonight, this is what it takes. But I just don't want to build anything that's
That condition. I think that's our base to. No, I'm not making the condition, I was just asking the applicant to just see some neighbors, they didn't go into the right spots, it seems like. You want me to discussion, but you're not gonna take it down. I'm not suggesting.
correct, and 6 would be the magic number like I could live with. If we could agree on 6 and we got enough votes, and they were happy and could go forward. If that's what it takes to get done, I'm just saying I am willing to. I just want to get this done. This has been drawn out, wasting the city's time. Been doing.
Like to say, I don't want to petition, but if they amongst themselves, the audience, we consider something, the decision we're going to make is going to be one way or the other. And I think for whether 5 to say, that's parking spaces, they're good. What's good, but I'd rather see that happen than make a decision that's not happen.
But his testimony presented at the University Area Commission, that did not sway their vote. Saying
At the UAC, no, I had to ask them, sorry. Their whole thing was go to Seth or whoever it was, is go talk to the neighbors, go talk to the neighbors. And it's sometimes, I said, listen, we've sat down, I think it was 5 times. I've used lawyers, I've used myself. We weren't going to get there. We needed help to negotiate. And I had asked them, yeah, and that's what they said, that we're not doing that. You deal it out with yourself, or we turn it down. They simply said, do it yourself, or we're turning it down.
I can agree with that. I just.
Point of order.
With this, I think this is probably how it works.
Bob said that I spoke earlier, I'm a neighbor on the court. Property. On the. whether the property owner purchases property with the knowledge of the zoning restrictions in this statement in support of the property owner, stated that the property owner did not have knowledge of the restrictions. Now they're saying they did have knowledge.
So I don't point of order, I think that's, is you just saying that.
It's right here in your own.
Yeah, I'm Chair, I'm Jay, from the board.
Testimony.
Also not to 118, which is the governing code of ratings.
We will speak to we will speak for all the, we will speak to the non-conforming environments, so you would, what we take into consideration and what we. Fair. Understand.
Yes.
Are you ready, Mr.
I'll call the question.
Let's have a call. And the announcement of our council's admonition to the state for, free, but explanatory, easily for the station.
Mr. Jones?
My answer is find that there is an opportunity for a reasonable return. Property, its current condition, or without the variances that are being requested. The variance has areas of being substantial and some maybe more moderate. The essential character of the neighborhood is being altered by significant, from the standpoint in a Buffalo, and creating a much larger, much more substantial multi-unit home. I believe that at some point, track access to money provided and potentially be engaged with firefighters if necessary. There were multiple fires, multiple properties that was suggested. Could be for the delivery of services. Very rarely we have understood testimony repeatedly that the owner was aware of how some of the restrictions. I think that it is also something that this building could exist, be improved, and even create any use which city council has drawn about use in a much more systematic manner. So I think done by methods of very and the spirit behind the requirement would not necessarily serve substantial. That's
Thanks, Mr. Jones. If I could encourage the board members to actually follow Mr. Jones' example.
Brown.
Ms. Malka.
All right, I'm looking at this. So, I think so substantial changing. Definitely had two duplexes and larger homes. Don't be the all. With that effect, I don't see services on them, and as the city was already determined, back to they would turn for the board for. I can do my family and my board, sometimes duplex and hey, I want to have 5 beds, bathrooms. So when my family works, this is not any typical than that. So I think we're saying it's different than what the allow. So I'm gonna vote that. Voting yes.
Mr. Lovely?
I'm voting yes as well. I do think that that's the issue for city hall, that when we find arguments that are going to follow the variances that we're going to do, we need to acknowledge that. I also believe that since we are following 33 of the that it should be approved.
Ms. Egelhoff?
It looks like something really yes. I appreciate all the neighbors' statements, you know, from out here, show a lot of understanding, but I feel like this is just the change. And I think. Oh, sorry. I do think, it aligns with one of the central character of the neighborhoods becoming, it's allowed to do less. The fact that even is not the rate demolish would appropriate building. I don't think the variance is substantial. Sure, just the fact that you're increasing additional benefits for potential tenants. Bathrooms, and not increasing actual bedrooms, and number of people occupying the space, I think. Ways in favor, and again, although variance are required, the property itself to do any work would require variance, so there's no way to get around that.
Chair Paul Bailey.
Also voting yes, and, I've got no, yes, for wait to the course. I do think that property could be a reasonable return without variance. I do think that the property owner purchased the property with knowledge of restrictions. And I also think that the spirit of it would be served by granting variance. But I don't think that it's substantial. I don't think that the character is substantial. I think that there are other large homes, even if it's not the size of the structure is consistent. I think the architect does a really good job with slow sizing and look at the place. Does it look like monstrosity amongst homes? Single family or the new investors. I don't think government services. And I don't think that probably I would think that it could be other lots in the city are be a small lot. I think they're doing a lot with that small lot. And so that's big things. Yeah.
Sorry, Chairman, if you could entertain the motion to accept all of the evidence that's been presented at time of the board.
Yeah, they also made it. So I think we would accept evidence presented, but not that.
That's nice. You do it, motion, and all. Have evidence.
Just to enter them into the record.
So accept the motion to enter the evidence presented on the both the applicant and the neighbors and there's something like that work to that into.
Mr. Malika?
Yes.
Mr. Lovely?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff? Mr. Jones? Chair Paul Bailey?
Okay, let's take a 5-minute break.
Thanks, everyone. Apologize for the lengthiness of that, but I appreciate the thoroughness and the consideration.
5.
7 is
5. Oh, 6, I guess. Now we're on 7.
which I didn't realize this was gonna go this late. I
Council.
should be able to get through my last 2,
Okay.
7 and 9. I assume I'll probably get there by then.
Oh, nice.
If I go with all these.
I think that's.
Oh, okay, that's for me. Thank you.
Oh, say
Oh, yeah, I would shop this one too.
I'm gonna find you, right?
What is this usual like? Sure. So either residential or commercial, something to that and say, so what, a lot of those are well, here's your, that's not allowed use. Please contact Tim Dietrich with, well, Michael Bar. Use standards to say, apply for council variance. Once council variance, is approved, you can resubmit and zoning perpetuate, but in the meantime, it's on. Or, and they do that for, graphics and height variances. Also, somebody wants to build a garage, single family residential usually doesn't rise to that. That's what it was. Single family residential doesn't really rise to the, rise to the challenge of a full site plan review. So that's probably why it's not on there. But multifamily does. So if they saw that as a 2-family, which all it is, even though it's got 10 bedrooms, they probably didn't make them go jump through those hoops. Now that I'm thinking about it, it doesn't rise to that level. What do we make of it? Well, they knew first and foremost that the site was zoned R2F. The 3 unit is not allowed use in the R2F. So yeah. So they're getting so much pushback from the university. They knew council schedule was with any kind of opposition. So they started writing the ball. All these people. Oh, yes.
This code section about apartment houses is also like incredibly vaguely written. Because they're like, oh yeah, if you're, it's a place that has rooms to let for more than, what was it, like 3 people? It's like, by that reading, it could be like a family of 4 renting a house would technically be an apartment house. It's 4 people, because they don't speak to like how many leases there are. And that's the whole reason why we have that memo for how many leases, because without Going in there and like asking, are you all related to each other, which would be discriminatory. Like, we can't, there's no way.
You guys don't have any facial structure. You're not related.
Right? I'm like, what is this 1920s stuff going on right now, man?
Yeah. That was nice.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I saw that. I was like, oh my gosh. That's point blank. That's not how the province will work. What are you doing? Common sense, you know, I'm just pointing out. Oh my God. Text me that so times. What was the section that talks about definitions? That was it. Yeah, I was gonna bring this up during the. Thank you, 3303. I was gonna bring this up, but like, when we were talking about the, I hate doing this, sorry, the definitions. That's, oh, for God's sake, you're right. I hate the search function.
Yeah.
3303. Yep. Oh my God, there we go. Okay, thank you. I was looking for A, because we have apartment house, okay, apartment. Or no, it's rooming house, it was, that's the one that I was like, okay, this doesn't, it's, to be fair, very vague, but like, to play devil's advocate, okay, rooming house, residential building other than a hotel in which part or parts are be a place where sleeping are offered for hire to 3 or more persons. So if I own a house and I am renting it out, I'm not living in the house, but I'm renting it out to, like, let's say a family of 4. Perfect. And that would technically meet the definition of a rooming house, basically, which is why we do the whole, like, I can see why have the memo saying that it's based on how many leases there are.
I think it's sleeping. So if they've got like 1 bathroom. Think about the old 70s movies, like New York City. Well,
I get it. Yeah. Exactly.
There's like, sometimes they have a cook, sometimes they have, you know, and it's like, oh, I don't know if you need, I think you just need 3 in that house, not 3 for the unit. So it wouldn't be like you, me, and Adam unit. At least 3 people in one building that don't know each other.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, but this is so it is, but like.
That's why I think there's an interpretation.
No, that's, I was gonna say, like, this is why we have that.
Right.
But I think that's why we have that memo for the number of leases. That's the only way we can draw the line. Because this, you could, depending on how you interpret it, could catch every suburban house. Yeah, that's being rented.
Silence. So.
Oh, it's me. 1639 Jefferson Avenue, applicant is sitting.
Yes. So polite. Go ahead.
So, 1639 Jefferson Avenue is located on the west side of Jefferson Avenue, approximately 100 feet north of East 14th Avenue. It is part south of the Indian Area Commission, and the existing zoning is R3 residential district. The 0.09 acre site is completely undeveloped. Surrounding uses include single unit dwellings to the north, south, east, and east, and a warehouse to the west. The applicant proposes to construct a single unit dwelling. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the number of parking spaces from 2 to 0. Planning supports the requested parking reduction as it is consistent with Columbus citywide planning policies, design guidelines. Staff note that there is street parking along Jefferson Avenue, in addition to access to nearby transit along 17th Avenue, consistent with the proposal. For these reasons, planning fully supports the requested variance. With street parking along 14th and 15th Avenue, mitigating the lack of on-site parking, the Division of Traffic Management is supportive of the requested variance. The South Linden Area Commission has recommended approval of the requested variances, voting 3 in favor with 2 abstaining. City Department's recommendation is that of approval as well. Staff can recommend approval as the lack of rear alley access in the limited width of the lot provides a legitimate hardship by providing 2 off-street parking spaces. The lack of off-street parking is also mitigated by the ample availability of street parking in the surrounding area. Check.
Include your name when you sworn in.
Yes, my name is Emily Long Rayfield and I've been sworn in.
Anything about this application?
I think in interest of your guys' time, if I can answer any questions, nothing else to add.
Is it, we actually, this part of this is
Different. This is a new.
Are we talking about our past cases? That we did what you asked and now you don't need to hear from me about those again.
Very good answer. Very good answer.
Yes.
But it's, yeah.
Well said.
I mean, this makes sense. We added it.
This is
Totally
This is a
different.
brand new case. This has not been tabled. This is a brand new case. First that the board has heard it.
Very similar to one you did hear from me last month. Yes, yeah.
You're not going crazy. Any questions from the applicant? Is there anybody here who wants to speak about this application? Paul, please call the roll.
Mr. Webley?
Yeah.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Maluska?
Yes, yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Thank you all.
701.
If I hear. Yeah.
Further out here, 701.
What's next? Very good.
21, 844, Wicks Avenue.
Can I make that? Maybe. I think so. All right, 721 to 844 Briggs Avenue is located at the northeast corner of South Souder Avenue and Briggs Avenue. As part of the Franklinton Area Commission and existing zoning is AR3 apartment residential district. The 2.09 acre site is currently developed with an apartment complex. Surrounding uses include a community center to the north, an elementary school to the south, single unit dwellings to the east, and a nursing home to the west. Applicant proposes to legitimize an existing parking layout and driveway width. The applicant is thus requesting variances to reduce the required number of parking spaces from 66 to 47, and to reduce the width of a driveway from 20 feet to 18.5 feet. Planning supports the parking reduction but requests additional bike parking. Staff has no comment on the width of the driveway. Columbus City Planning Policies design guidelines states that requests for parking reductions will be considered based on the extent of variance requested, the size and nature of the use, and the provision of pedestrian and bicycle facilities beyond that required by code. Staff support the parking reduction but request an additional bike rack to mitigate the parking reduction. Planning has no comment on the driveway width as neither the West Franklinton plan nor C2P2 guidelines address this matter. The Division of Traffic Management can support the requested variances with the condition that the applicant comply with requirements from the Division of Refuse Collection so as to retain refuse collection for this site. The Franklinton Area Commission has recommended approval of the requested variances, and likewise, City Department's recommendation is that approval. Staff can recommend approval as the reduction in aisle width is minimal and traffic through the site is limited. While the reduction in parking is more substantial,
Staff can also recommend approval as the variance is to legitimize a longstanding existing condition that has not appeared to cause any severe parking deficiencies for the site. We do recommend the conditions as noted by traffic management that the applicant shall comply with the requirements of the Division of Refuse Collection in order to retain refuse collection with the city of Columbus for this site. And that the applicant shall provide at least one additional bike rack above the code required minimum as per planning's recommendation as well. Check.
Can you state your names, whether or not you were sworn in?
My name is Michael Maestros with New Avenue Architects and Engineers. Yes, I was sworn in.
My name is Chris Swaggerty. I'm the construction manager, and yes, I've been sworn in.
Okay, do you have anything to add to that?
I would just add that as far as the additional bike parking, we actually were required to have 3 bike parking stalls. We've added 8 to this site, just to go overboard with it. This community here is it's a low income project. It has it's all 1-bedroom units. It is everyone there. The owners surveyed the amount of owners there that have cars is not very many, and if they do have a car, it's a single car. We've taken photos throughout different times of the day, the night, different days of the week, and the parking lot is never ever full. The photos that you see or from Google, that's about what you get almost all the time.
We're probably at 50% on average at any given time.
Yeah. So the short brief history of this was an inherited issue. We don't know when this site was changed. The last approved site compliance plan was in 1970. So sometime between 1970 and 2005, we know that the significant changes happened where it was the parking was reduced from the required 66 parking spots down to 46, but it was all done without record. It was before the current owners had the property. We just, sometime in that time it changed. And so they inherited this issue. Our involvement was really just to provide, take one of the dwelling units, turn it into a community room for the people and add a little outdoor playground, or not playground, sorry, like a workout, just like an outdoor fitness area for the residents. We submitted that, got approval, but site compliance came back and said, hold on, this doesn't comply. So, because we had the 2005 site plan, which we didn't realize was not the approved one. And in 2005, it was documented like this. So just a little brief history on why we're here. So.
Do anybody want to speak about the application? Or any questions?
All question.
Call the roll.
Ms. Egelon?
Also, were you able to these places?
Yeah, we've added 5 extra.
I believe the applicant has been in talks with refuse collection, and that's something that would be handled at final site compliance. The condition is really mainly just to, as an awareness for the applicant, that if refuse collection should be impacted and, a further reduction in spaces is necessitated by that, it would have to come back for another variance.
That's not really a condition, that's just a part of the process, right?
Essentially, having it as a condition is just giving a little bit of assurance.
Yeah. We have been in talks with the refuge. We actually met them at the site last week. They actually drove one of their trucks to demonstrate what would work the best for them, which is what we did on the site for them to make it easier, because this doesn't work well for them at all. For 30 some years, they've been pulling all the way into the back, picking up that dumpster and literally backing all the way out around the turn, all the way back out. So now we've offered them a turnaround. They still have to back all the way down to that little, just down to the red curve. Yeah,
Yeah, they're gonna do a 3-point turn right there.
yeah. So we've provided a 3-point turn. That was, we had it up closer, but they actually said they would rather come all the way down because that gave them more room to swing around there's more room on the other side, the way we have it designed. So that was based on last week's site conversation. So we're in the process of working with them. Right now, we're 2 cubic yards short of what they want, but they're talking about it internally to see if that's,
And
if
we'll,
that's
we'll
okay.
work with them to make it right.
Question.
Mr. Engelhoff? Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Lovely. Chair Bailey?
Yes, variance is granted. Thank you.
Thank you.
2026, 24 road.
Road is located on the east side of Facebook Road, that's 225 feet south of Myers. It is an ARTD, residential, and part of the RTD area commission. The size is about 2 4-unit lots. Surrounding uses are primarily multi-unit residential. Applicant proposes a split lot resulting in each dwelling on one parcel. Variance requested to allow western dwelling to not frontage on the street. Planning is supportive of the proposal. C2P2 recommends the parking lot should be hidden to the greatest extent possible by locating it to the rear or side of the building. Staff note that the design or site plan is generally compatible with the surrounding area and no changes to the existing multi-unit buildings are proposed. As such, planning is supportive. Division of traffic division applicants and for each area position recommended approval with a vote of 7-0. Staff can also recommend approval as the variance is technical and the design matches the overall character of this surrounding neighborhood. Chair.
My name is John Ram. I represent the property owners. The property owners.
Okay.
Don't have my.
Any questions? Is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application?
Mr. Jones?
Yeah.
Mr. Walker? Mr. Lovely? Ms. Engelhoff?
Yes.
Chair Bailey?
Variance is granted.
Thank you.
Okay, 68 Concord Tussing Road.
Tuesday, Tuesday. Yeah. I'm gonna go with that. 6800 Tustin is located on the northwest corner of Tuesday and Americana Parkway. It is zoned into manufacturing and part of the Florida's area commission. Site is developed with a 3,900 square foot warehouse, or 39,000 square foot warehouse facility surrounding uses are office building to the west and east, multi-unit residential to the south, and manufacturing to the north. Applicant proposes to construct a 12,000 square foot building addition on the corner lot. A variance is being requested to reduce the building setback to 50 to 30 feet. Planning requests additional information on whether to mature street trees to the east along Americana Parkway preserve following completion of the addition. Staff have reviewed the provided building elevations and noted that the proposed windows, however, the city or C2P2 recommends blank walls should not be presented to primary streets and buildings. Blank walls should use landscaping to mitigate impacts on adjacent uses. Staff would recognize the addition being an extension of the existing use in preservation of the mature street trees for screening of the blank wall as mitigating factors for support for planning
is continue to ask if for additional information regarding the existing mature trees. The Division of Traffic Management had no comments, and the Far East Area Commission recommends approval with a vote of 9-0. Staff is recommending approval because staff is recommending approval as the setback variance is negligible, whereas in the condition that the mature street trees preserved and the applicant shall comply with the requirements of use landscaping to mitigate the impact of houses.
Can you say the name, one that you were sworn in?
Sure. Mark Antonette's, with partner with Sands Decker, the engineering firm, and yes, I've been sworn in.
Chris Villette with DSA Architects, and I have been sworn in.
Tony Albo, production manager at Pixby, Ohio. Yes, I've been sworn in.
No, we've been corresponding with that and appreciate all the input. We've been responding to his concerns about the windows and the trees. We can assure you the trees are in the right of way. There'll be no work done in the right of way, so this tree will be preserved.
Is there anybody that's about that application?
We were on a streak. I thought you guys handled that very well, by the way. Everybody got hurt. That was very professional. That was done. I've been in a lot of crying once.
What's the question?
Specifically for that, it says, cities.
And yours is different than mine, but that's been updated. They didn't have elevations before when I sent that packet out. So this was a new comment submitted by planning today. Yeah. Sir. Sorry, just right there in front of you.
I got elevated.
It's fine around changing. We've had people.
Yeah, no, sorry. No, it's changed. It used to be, yeah. There's change elevations for everybody.
The same pages?
Those are elevations, right? I don't know if you had those or not, with the windows.
Yeah. And they were.
Mr. Malongo? Mr. Mobley? Ms. Engelbaum? Mr. Jones?
Yeah.
Here, Paul Bailey?
Yes, they're granted, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go back to 701, Jason's.
Oh, yeah, we have one more.
Oh,
Adam made your packet.
Great.
Sorry. Ready? Okay, oh, just to preface this case, so this case actually came, this case is one of our new cases that came in August, and they were so efficient that they got through the area commission in August as well, so we were able to schedule it ahead of time. And Josh, maybe you can elaborate on this. Laura Baker Morris, the chief of staff for the city attorney's office, is now asking city staff. Well, first of all, we've updated our application form, so I'm gonna, after my report, direct you to the statement of hardship submitted by the applicant, which does in fact address all the different Duncan standards. So it's now a requirement that applicants must address Duncan standards regardless of the, complication of a case. And city staff will have a blurb or a little spot that acknowledges it. And if you guys want us to do more or less, this is kind of a test case because again, the expedition of the case, so.
We always have to do
No, I mean, they should. In reality, they never do, but, and if you want to elaborate, Josh, please do.
Yeah, I can add a little bit more June for the rest of the sort of share Paul that we all talk about this a little bit, but it's spread that direction. My office, chief counsel, building and zoning services is now added the 7 different factors as part of the application process, as you know, that we saw earlier. Sometimes the necessity to go through them step by step and complicated factors in case, especially in the contested case. But this at least have the done factors in the record at some point, regardless of whether there were complications or opposition. So just a full-on update, but hopefully we'll still stay.
Okay. So, 8295 Sankis Boulevard is located on the west side of Sankis Boulevard, approximately 200 feet south of LaSalle Road. The site is zoned LC4 Limited Commercial District and is located within the Far North Columbus Communities Coalition. The site is developed with a 4,088 square foot retail space with an accessory 18 space parking lot. Surrounding uses include a fuel station and commercial strip center to the north, an apartment residential development to the south and west, and a commercial strip center to the east. You may know this site as you approved a medical marijuana special permit for it a couple years ago. The applicant proposes now adding 13 parking spaces to the site. And since the maximum number of allowed parking spaces is 21, the applicant is requesting a variance to increase the maximum number of allowed parking spaces from 21 to 31. Required parking, the maximum allowed parking ratio for retail use is 1 per 200. Far North Area Plan recommends parking should be hidden to the greatest extent possible by locating it to the rear or side of a building and or with extensive landscaping. Planning requests adequate screening or landscaping be installed along the Sankis Boulevard frontage to hide parking from street view. The Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the Far North Columbus Communities Coalition recommends approval. City staff finds that the applicant has successfully addressed the Duncan standards, and if you'd like to review the application that has the Duncan standards listed, please feel free. City staff can recommend approval with the following condition. The applicant will provide increased landscaping of 1 parking lot shade tree for every 6 parking spaces. And I just circulated a site plan depicting that, so if you could all stamp that, you're good to go.
Can you say your name for me? I'm sworn in.
Yes, thank you. My name is Jacob Sutton. I'm with Gateway Engineers and I have been sworn in.
My name is Aaron Prime. I'm also with Gateway Engineers and I have also been sworn in.
Only one quick comment. You stated that the max allowable is 21 parking spaces. I believe the max allowable is 18, which was what this was originally designed for. But either way, we're requesting to get the total up to 31. And we're open to any questions that you guys may have.
Any other questions? No sitting here to speak about this application. Ready to go?
Mr. Lovely?
Yes.
Ms. Eichelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker? Chairman Bailey?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, go figure.
Is that your sheet?
Table.
With the fee?
Ms. Eichelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Lovely?
Yes.
Chairman Bailey?
Yes.
All right. Thanks everyone for enduring this night.
No, they're not.